hospital porter's pride and dignity, stop the New World Order, welcome to her Panwo TV. Well, I'm heading back to Devon. I'm going skywatching again. And it is an absolutely lovely day. And I'm here with Diana Windsor in her car. And if you remember, I'll put a link in the description box to the video we made last year where we went skywatching. And we had a really amazing experience. We saw some really weird things. So we're going back to the same location or similar locations to see if we can see something else again. Now, Diana has already been on her own a few months ago, or a few weeks ago, and she saw something amazing there. So we're going to see if maybe we can see something amazing ourselves. I hope so. But it's hot, it's humid. We've had a couple of rainstorms, so basically really, really nice weather so far. And the countryside is as lovely as always. And we're going to be going past Stonehenge soon, so I don't know if we'll see Simon Parks again, but we'll let you know. Well, we have here a crashed UFO. Well, actually, but it is a military vehicle doing something.
Where are they going with this?
I don't know. I think they've gone to pick up the crashed UFO, I think. We've got big flatbed trucks, and they are military. Let's just get a look at them. Yep, these are military vehicles. Another one here. So we have possibly three crashed flying saucers in the vicinity, I would say. And if I see these things, I always think it's flying saucers. Oh my God, there's another one! We're getting close to Stonehenge now. Now, if you remember from last video, if you check in the description box, you'll see it. But I never actually caught it on camera, but we saw a man going past us who looked exactly like Simon Parks. And do you remember Diana? He disappeared, didn't he? And we actually turned around and went back to have a look to see if we could find him. And we couldn't see him, so we're going to look out this time to see if he comes back. But it's all looking weird. We've 4 big flatbed trucks. I didn't see the number plates, but I think they were military number plates. You can tell them they're very distinctive. But even if they're not, then they're contractors, and they got that by their paintwork, I'd say they're military. They're civilian contractors for the military. And we're getting close to Stonehenge now. Well, the thing about it is, I mean, since I made that video when Diana and I went to Devon, I actually spoke to Simon Parks about this, and he said it wasn't him. He wasn't there at the time.
Clone.
Well, seriously, what if he is? I mean, it may be a clone, you know, it's just a possibility. Or it may be some kind of astral projection or something. I mean, it's possible, Diana, you know, I mean, Diana and I have been talking about this, about what it means. And well, Simon is a very, very clever guy. I mean, he's got a lot of stick lately, as I said in my Dreaming Sources talk. He's had a lot of stick, but I think he's a very, very interesting chap, and I think a lot of what he says is real. We're coming in this beautiful valley now, and so we're getting close to Stonehenge, and this will tell us here. Now, Salisbury off to the left, so Marlborough. Hey, we're in the West Country now. We're getting close to Miles' stomping ground.
This is God's own country, this is. Yes, it is. There's black goo in the water, and there are scuttlers in the hedgerows.
Amesbury ahead, that means we're getting close to Stonehenge, yeah. And look, they have to ruin the landscape, don't they, with those damn turbines. Those bat killers. When we went up to Scotland in 2016, and I made a video about that too. I make a video about most things. Apart from my sex life, of course. And it was a lovely drive through Cumbria, and through the Lake District, and through the lowlands of Scotland. Now we're in Wiltshire now, God's own country. And but there was these damn turbines everywhere, on every hillside. And I just thought, it's like, there were hundreds of them, they're all over the place. And I just thought to myself, that's just so, they do a lot, they ruin the landscape, they kill bats and other wildlife, and they're not necessary because we have free energy and the government are suppressing it, the government are keeping it quiet. It's really, really annoying. So now we have some more. Let me see, we're getting into the West Country now. And well, when we get close to Stonehenge, I will start filming again. Oh, we're getting close to Stonehenge. Diana spotted a sign saying, what did it say, Diana?
fresh English strawberries, but I got a feeling they won't like that.
Is it?
Is that racist?
Yeah.
To say fresh English strawberries, because I'm waiting for that one.
Well, we don't know that they identify. They may not self-identify as fresh. You see, they may be. They may have like rotten tendencies or present as rotten. You know? And we don't know, how do we say English? I mean, that's very racist, isn't it? I mean, it's very imperialist.
Gets right on my pip.
I think, yeah, but anyone who talks about English strawberries is responsible for slavery. And hey, we're getting close now to Stonehenge. Now, it was around, where was it we saw Simon Parks, or the Simon Parks lookalike, or clone, or whatever it was? It was when we actually close to the monument, isn't it? But I mean, I only saw him at the corner of my eye, but you saw him properly, didn't you? And as you can see, it's right along the edge of this road. You can see here how close we are. You should be able to recognise people. And we're not going too fast. Now, there's a really nasty thing happening with Stonehenge. Maria Wheatley's talks about this. And we've got a traffic jam now. But Maria Wheatley's talks about this. And it's got a lot to do... Yeah, it's a bit hot, isn't it? It's got a lot to do with the traffic volume on this road, because they're actually going to build a tunnel underneath Stonehenge. They're going to run this road, the A303, and so they're going to run it into a tunnel. And there's been a lot of campaigning because the tunnel is going to be... They want a really deep tunnel that completely bypasses the whole Stonehenge site, but they're actually putting in a very shallow tunnel, as shallow as possible, which is going to go right underneath Stonehenge. And this... Well, there's several reasons for this. Firstly, it's going to be a lot cheaper, and then secondly, well, don't be surprised if it's closed on Halloween night or the summer solstice or anything like that, because the elite might be doing things, you know, satanic rituals inside the tunnel, because it gives them a chance to do it right underneath that monument where the ley lines converge, as a geospiral, as Maria Wheatley calls it. So yeah, it's a bit weird. Those military trucks are far behind us now, and we still don't know what they're trying to get hold of, but they're big flatbed trucks. They might just be picking up tanks or something, but I don't know this. But I found out that the proper term in engineering and architecture for the entrance to a tunnel, do you know what it is? Portal. The entrance to a tunnel is called a portal. If you want to use that's the proper terminology the experts use. And I thought that's weird because there's a portal at Stonehenge at one end, and there's a portal at the other. And I just thought it's really weird that they use that kind of terminology. But anyway, there's a big campaign, because if the tunnel goes right under the monument, there's going to be vibration, there's going to be noise. It's only going to be... Oh, excuse me. It'll be like 50 feet deep. The top of the roof of the tunnel is going to be like 50 feet below ground, which is less. I mean, it's less space than there is some of the height of some of the main stones, like the arch stones. Is it now then? Any sign of Simon Parks? Let's have a look. He's not here. Simon, where are you? Simon? No. He did say it wasn't him. He did tell me. We asked him, and he said it wasn't him. Anyway, traffic's moving quite slowly now, so I'll film again when we can actually see Stonehenge. And there it is. There is Stonehenge. Now, I filmed this a couple of times. There's lots of people there. Look, there's people walking around there. Now, I filmed this. You remember my Glastonbury Symposium video, Ben Goes on Tour? I actually filmed that. I filmed Stonehenge from the coach, and now we're going past it again on this same road, the A303, which is very, very busy. They're going to put a bloody tunnel underneath that. And I don't believe for 1 second that it's just out of convenience of the traffic. It must have some occult, satanic reason. I'm really, really sure of that. I really am, yeah. My goodness, but you see, it's popular this time of day. You can go in there and you can wander around it. And here it is, Salisbury Plain. There's lots of other really amazing things around here, such as Woodhenge and the circus and things like this in this whole complex here. And you see, there's a tumulus, there's a mound that the ancient pre-Illuminati culture of Britain knew all about. So you know, we're doing them. It's looking pretty good there now. Simon still hasn't shown up. Now, if he appears again, I'm going to really raise it with him and say, look, because he said it wasn't him. It was about here, wasn't it, that we saw him? Now, these bollards weren't here, I think, before. I don't think they were here, but it was somewhere around here we saw him. Right by the road, or Diana saw him, and I just sort of like... I just thought, well, Diana saw him very clearly, and Diana was driving, and Diana's got driver's vision, so I've got every reason to think that she is, she can see these things. Yeah, pretty good. I'll just, hang on a second. I'm just going to go for the back window now. Hope you can see that, ladies and gentlemen. There is Stonehenge. Look at those sheep up on the tumulus there. What an amazing construction that is. I mean, people talked about satanic rituals going on there overground for a long, long time. But now we have like the possibility of doing satanic rituals underground on the geospiral where the ley lines meet in the tunnel, if that tunnel gets built. And there's a massive campaign to stop it, which I hope is successful, because it'll be absolutely disastrous for the energetic, etheric body of the Earth otherwise. And there she is again. Amazing construction. And I wonder what it was like here when this was open and active. This road wasn't here. In the pre-Illuminati times. That's far, far older than the hill fort that we went to. It's just like a... But you go and see, it costs a lot of money to get in. You're not allowed to go in, you're not allowed to go within about 100 feet of it. You've got to walk around the outside. I just hope... And the security guards are really, really brusque there. It's like, some people claim it's used for satanic ritual, and that's why. It's possible. To me, it has a dark energy to it, Stonehenge. It's not all love and light. Avebury's a lot more lighter. But it has an aura of blackness. Can I say that without getting arrested? of darkness, what I mean by that. And perhaps it's because the Illuminati are using it to the present day for satanic rituals. And the number of bodies buried around it may indicate that it was used by the Illuminati before, in pre-occupation times, to bring dark energy into the Earth's etheric body to aid with the actual conquest of the era we're in today. There's a tumulus there. It's a burial mound. Now these were used throughout right up into the Iron Age and even during Roman times. And there's a pig farm there, you can see. It's nice. Now, what archaeologists have discovered here at Stonehenge is really quite chilling, because they found lots of bodies under the ground being buried, and all people who died violent deaths, which they'd either been there may have been some kind of massive battle here, or maybe a mass human sacrifice, a huge massacre for ritualistic purposes or some other purpose. But it's clear that even in pre-Illuminati times, there were dark forces were using Stonehenge for nefarious purposes. It's a complete myth that's, there was some kind of antediluvian paradise before the Illuminati got here. That happy myth is unfortunately not true. Another weird thing is, have you heard about the long-skulled people?
Yeah.
Diana, yeah. Maria, again, I think she's the first person ever to really research this. It's a really amazing, important work she's done. But there are bodies around here, in fact they're appearing all over the world, of apparently human skeletons, but they have an elongated skull. They have a different shaped skull. And there's a lot of them buried around here, and it's been covered up. Some of them are on Salisbury Plain, where the military reservation is, which is where Maria had to get special permission to go to visit the tumulus where these things are dug up. And it looks as if the round-headed people, which is us, we humans, actually we actually exterminated by genocide the long-skulled people. And I was wondering what these long-skulled people are like. But it appears that Stonehenge...
Red hair.
Yeah, and they were... Maria talks about it for a while, what they might look like. Maybe they were part extraterrestrial, or maybe they were parallel human species that evolved on the Earth. But what's interesting is Stonehenge. I mean, this is not a secret. Stonehenge has been built in several phases. It's not always looked as it has done. It's been altered every so often, and it was actually in continuous use for about 5,000 years. It started off as a very simple circle of wooden stakes, and then they put other things up there, and then they were more elaborate stone monuments. What Maria's discovered is that some of the earlier stones are actually mean that the first people to build it, possibly the long-skulled people, were not worshippers of the sun, they were worshippers of the moon. Because we all know Stonehenge in its later phases, became a solar temple. There's the famous sight lines for the rising of the sun at solstice and the setting of the sun at the winter solstice, etc., etc. But Maria has calculated that it was actually more to observe the moon than the sun, which indicates that there was actually a moon cult rather than a solar cult, a lunar religion rather than a solar religion at Stonehenge in the early days, before it was like, what's the word, revamped by the round-headed people, in other words, us. Now, what this means, I'm not entirely sure, but Maria's basically the first person to look into this ever. She actually, now these long-skulled people were dug up and they were put in storage, and the archaeologists, of course, they dug them up and they listed them, but they never ever really got to grips with them. Maria went all the way to Oxford, where I live, where some of these things are stored, and she asked to see these long-skulled relics, and so she went to see it. And when she went into this storage centre at Oxford to view these skulls, where they were kept in the storage baskets, she had to sign a book to say she'd been there to visit these skulls and to view them. And she looked at what the last entry into the book was, and it was 1928. Nobody, before Maria went there a couple of years ago, nobody had even looked at these long-skulled remains since 1928. That is how much time has been lost in terms of research into this phenomenon. And I mean, I recommend Michael Creamer and Robert Thompson's book, Forbidden Archaeology. It's a huge book. It's about 1,500 pages. An absolute doorstep of a textbook, but it's worth reading because it lists categorically all these strange, these ways in which the academic establishment has covered up these anomalies, these inconvenient facts that keep emerging, which destroy the narrative of human development and prehistory and the origins of our species. Incredible.
There's something in that cloud.
Well, we've just been to a place called Chicklade, and that's kind of like a real sign. It's a very pastoral name, and it makes me think of sort of old farmyards and things like that. And there were some old farm buildings there. Just we go past the petrol station there, and you can see some more over there. See some farm buildings, some really old-fashioned farm buildings. And so when you get warning signs, there's no warning signs for tractors yet. It's when you get like the warning signs for tractors, you know you're in the proper West Country. You are. And it's just now we've been through Chicklade. That just feels like the kind of name that you'd expect in a place like this. And so we're just going up this hill now, and there'll probably be a really good view from the top of it. I can just sense it. We really are in the West Country. You are. That's right, we are. We're going to really stand out because we've only got 5 fingers on each hand. Definitely. Let's see what happens when we go over this crest. There's been some really aggressive drivers on this road this evening. I must say, some articulated lorries that have like been slowing down and as if to intimidate us. And there's been some
Mercenary.
Yeah, drivers zipping past us. I don't know, but driving seems to bring out the worst in people. It's like Facebook on wheels, I think. But now, well, let's see. Let's have a look at this signpost. It'll give us some indication of where we are. Honiton and Exeter ahead. Warminster. Hey, we're close to Warminster. Where there's the thing. The long lead. Oh yeah. You remember my Warminster video? That was the one that the Daily Mail put a link up to. It was pretty good. It's given it about 20,000 views. Oh, look at this. We're going through these little bridges now over valleys and things. Oh, isn't that lovely? What a lovely sight that is. Look at that. The sun's gone in. It's nice actually because it's a bit cooler because it was actually very hot and humid. But what a beautiful sight that is. I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am, Hapano TV viewers. Right, ladies and gentlemen, we are now in Devon. This is officially the most paranormal place in the world. According to Janet and Colin Board in their book Modern Mysteries of the World and Modern Mysteries of Britain. More paranormal phenomena and UFOs and cryptozoological, ghostly phenomena. Sorry. Oh, that was the sat-nav there. It's more paranormal UFO, cryptozoological phenomena are reported here per square mile and per head of the population than anywhere else in the world. If you want to come sky watching or you want to come ghost hunting, Devon is the best place on earth to come. Right, well, I'm actually in Oakhampton now, which is in Devon, and well, Diana's just gone to see if we can get a bottle of Bailey's. It's a lovely little place actually, lots of charming West Country architecture, you know, like stone buildings and stuff like that. And I'll show you some more of that over the course of the trip. I saw like a big cloud of smoke coming up from the woods, or nearby. There was like at the top of a hill. There's a big cloud of smoke coming up. Hi Diana. Any luck?
Too expensive.
Right, we're going to go and try and see if we can get some Bailey somewhere else. And I mean, the moment I saw this big pall of smoke coming up from the distance, it was really really big fire. Obviously, my first thought was UFO crash. I always think that. I can't help it. But we're going to go and see if we can find a bottle of Bailey's somewhere else now. If not, we might get the O'Connors, which is like a poor man's Bailey's. But Diana is a Bailey's connoisseur. She says it's very nice, so I'm going to take her word for it. Yeah, this is old Oakhampton. There's Charitable Hall. There's a cinema, and there's the White Hart Hotel. We've been here. We actually came here. Now I don't know how many of you guys remember, but well, last year when Diana and I came here, we met up with Menna and Mr. Campbell from the High Wycombe Paranormal Group, and we actually wandered around here. I remember we wandered around this town, and Menna brought some of her famous ornaments for her house because she's famous for having a very UFO paranormal type. What's that noise? There's a weird noise. We'll see the men in black. They'd come to pick up the UFO that crashed. Anyway, Menna was buying some of her decorations because she likes putting ornaments in her house which are very UFO and paranormally themed. And we walked around this town. Do you know if you remember? Were you there? You were there too, yeah. Diana stayed on while the High Wycombe Paranormal people and myself went home. Yeah, it's a...
Date with an alien.
Let's have a look. Isn't it lovely? And it's got a charm you don't see in many places, these little towns here in the West Country, which I really love. Look at that church there in the middle of the road, really old church. It's like, that's got like a hobbit's church. That's what it's like. Oh, what's that? I think that's a helicopter. I thought I saw something in the sky. Oh my goodness me, it's getting to me already. I'm getting in the swing of things. I thought I saw like a helicopter, but it might be something else in the sky. Oh dear, look at that mural, isn't that nice? It's a Narnia or something. No, there's nothing there at the moment. I'll look out to see if I can see that pile of smoke for the crashed UFO, and that would be really, really cool if that appears somewhere. I don't think it is. Yeah, I think it might have gone. So they've cleared it up, whatever it is, and cleared away the bodies, and took them to Porton Down, and left us all wondering whatever happened. We're getting close to Belstone now. Now this is where we're going to do our first Skywatch tonight. We're staying at a pub and the pub's called The Tours, I believe, and we're staying there. And there's a guy called Kevin, actually, who Diana has actually spoken to before, and he's very much on our wavelength, I think, so hopefully he'll be joining us for some of the Skywatch. It's a beautiful, charming little place. I mean, I don't know if I filmed there last time. We did come here last time, and we sort of like sunbathed on the village green, and it was really nice. And today we're going to be we're basically in the same place, but we're going to get it's a magnificent view over Dartmoor, and it's the perfect place for skywatching. Indeed, Diana had some really interesting experiences there when she came up here a couple of weeks ago by herself, so we're hoping to get a repeat of that now. But you can just see it's this little single track road along here, and it's really, really nice. It's just really oldie worldy, and I just love that sort of thing. So we're gonna check that out, see what happens. I think we're coming to a, is this a cattle grid? Oh, now we know we're in the country. Cattle grid. Yeah, that's it. I love that sound. And there is Dartmoor. You can see that hill there, and you can see the tops of that hill. It's surrounded. It's covered in smoke. Here we are, Bellstone. And not smoke. What are we talking about? Cloud. It's surrounded by cloud smoke. It's surrounded by cloud. And it's such a charming little oldie worldy village. Look at that thatched cottage there. Oh, yeah, yes. I think you'll see some farmer walking along here with dungarees and a little bit of corn, a little bit of a stalk of corn sticking out of his gob. Yeah. Oh, look at that. Ooh, hello. Hello. You get cows walking along the lane. Oh, here's another one. Oh, my God. Watch out, mate. Watch out. Ooh. Hello. Hello, fella. Oh. Another thatched cottage. It's a great living area. Look at that. Those thatches, they keep the rain off, you know, and they last a long time. They can last for a century. Watch out, Mr. Cow. There's like a big, there's like a monolith there, right in the middle of the in the village.
Oops, running a bit with that engine.
And there's cows grazing on the village green. And look, that's where they put the ufologists in the stock there. So if we annoy them, we really do. We're crazy. What's that?
That's where I saw it. So
Oh, yeah.
next.
Is that where we're staying?
No, that's the B&B.
Oh,
that's
right.
where it was, right here.
Oh right, that's where we had. That's where, yeah. This is where Diana had her experience. Where you saw that thing, yeah. Visit Dartmoor, tourist of This is it's cool, isn't it? These walls must have been here for hundreds of years, man. Covered in moss. And this is where the sheep are, and this is where we had our little. This is where we had a little sleep here last time. We slept on this hill here, just on this green, on this grass here. And there is Dartmoor up there. And here we are. Right, it's Thursday evening, and we're at Bellstone in Devon. And this is an amazing village. And what I'll do is in the morning I'll show you a little bit more about what this place is like in daylight, because it's absolutely magnificent. It's a lovely little village, and it's right on the edge of these great big hills of Dartmoor. And that's where I'm looking now. And as you can't see probably, but I wouldn't want to tell if I hadn't been here earlier, but the hills are shrouded in low cloud. There's like somebody, there's we're like in the pub beer garden here. There's like these seats here. I don't know how much you can see of this, but there's some seats here, and there's a big village green, and there's cows. There were cows wandering around. It's amazing. And well, you saw them earlier, didn't you? Are we now just looking at these hillsides now? The funny thing is that Diana saw a light up there earlier, a rectangular shaped light just appeared and disappeared very quickly. I wasn't looking, I didn't see it myself, but she swears it was there. It's now, it's just gone 10 PM, and it's still amazingly light actually for the time of night. It's still a little bit of like gloaming or twilight left, which is an indication of the time of year it is. So we're just going to see what happens now. The forecast is stormy now. It said clear. It said showers. It's not going to be persistent rain, which means we might get some clear sky. We're going to see how it goes. Now, there's what we're looking at now. You can't see actually, but there's some houses, and there's a yard. It's like a farmhouse. Now over there, of course, is more houses over there, and there's a stone wall. I can barely make it out myself. It's getting darker now. Now, Diana had a real amazing experience here. I'll get her to tell you about it. So what's, Diana, what happened when you saw this really strange thing over there? Okay. Okay. There's a pussycat here. Look, there's a little pussycat has joined us on this bench. We're sitting in this pub beer garden. There's this pussycat. This cat sits on a windowsill outside the pub, and it was there all afternoon because everyone who passed it was giving this cat strokes. This lovely long-haired pussycat here. And oh, I miss having cats. I used to have 5 cats. I lived in a place where I had 5 cats. This cat is lovely. And there's a good pussycat. Oh, aren't you lovely? Yes.
Let's put up with salmon and cucumbers now.
No, you're not having any Baileys. No, you're not. You'll be a drunk cat then. That's not nice. It's not civilised to be a drunk cat. Okay, now, the light is there's thicker cloud now covering the actual hills in the distance. Now, Diana didn't want to say anything, but I'll tell you what happened to her. She was looking out of her hotel room at the pub where we were when she was here a couple of months ago, and she was a noise like a smoke alarm, fire alarm? Yeah, that sort of noise.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Bang!
Oh my god! And then there was a bright light, and you said it was as bright as daylight. Yeah, outside. And she stuck her head out the window. She was. I'll show you our hotel room in the morning, but she was in a different room, and it faced the other way. And there was like a house with a garden. There was a bright light in the garden. It moved up, and it was really, really bright. And it's the house, and then it's basically the house I just showed you, where you didn't see it. Oh my god! There's a car. The men in black are here. Yeah. So no one can see anything. None. I'm afraid the night vision. I've got the night vision switched off. So don't worry. You weren't. No one can see you. The night vision was switched off. There's a car coming. See, look. Oh my god! It's the men in black. They come to get us. It's a lovely little place. If you want to go on Google, it's called the Tours at Bellstone in Devon. If you want to go on to Google Earth and see where we are, it's absolutely lovely. Then you'll see like a row of benches outside the pub on a little crossroads. Oh, pussycat, this cat will not leave me alone. Oh, no, you're not having any Baileys. This cat is trying to nick our Baileys. No, you're not. No, pussycat, no. But anyway, that's what Diana saw, and it's really quite an amazing thing. Really quite an amazing thing. It really was. Quite an no. It's quite an astonishing experience that Diana had. And so we're back here again. I remember Diana actually wrote to me and told me what happened. I was like, "We got to go back there, Ben. We got to go back there." And I said, "Yeah, all right, we'll go back there." And here we are. And Diana did see this rectangular-shaped object earlier today. It's just a rectangular flash of light on the hillside when it was daylight here. Oh my god. That's just someone in the house. It's pussycat. Come on, no pussycat.
Bloody shower.
This is a bit uncomfortable here actually, because we got like this cat. The cat has now buggered off at last, but this cat was after our Baileys, and there's some people sort of yelling in the house behind us. I think there's some kind of inbred farmer's son, you know. But anyway, there's also an awful lot of midges, as they call them in Scotland, or gnats or mosquitoes. What the hell's going on there?
I wasn't getting this further up. Do you think it's because we lowered down?
No, I was getting it further up as well.
I didn't notice it like this.
I did. I was like sitting up there. I got a lot of it. They're everywhere.
I didn't know I noticed.
Yeah. So there's a lot of these insects buzzing around us as well. So, and it's quite balmy actually. I've got my jacket on, and I've got a very appropriate T-shirt on, of course, UFO Truth magazine. But another one. Yeah. So we're just going to keep seeing what happens anyway. We've got our torches, we've got our laser light, and we've got so hopefully we may get something coming through the murk. We'll see. Well, we've had a little walk around the village and we talked to a couple of people. It's very quiet here. There's no sound except the sound of the stream and occasional cars. And it's incredible because both Diana and I live in city. I live in Oxford, she lives in London, and we're not used to silence. It's a really, really weird thing to hear silence or hear nothing. There's no wind at all. It's a dead calm tonight, but there's low cloud cover and we can't see any sky. So we're going to just see what happens. But at the moment, it's not very good conditions for sky watching. But we're still waiting to see maybe some ghosts walk past. You never know. Okay, it's now approaching 20 to 1 in the morning, which is the time when Diana saw the strange objects she describes, including the luminous sphere. She saw a luminous multicoloured sphere as well, which I didn't mention earlier. There's been absolutely no activity at all, but looking at the hills, the shape of the hills, it's pretty clear that the cloud cover is actually descending, so it's actually getting foggy around here. There's no wind to break up the overcast at all. So I think it's not a very good cloud for sky watching night, so we're going to go to bed and try again tomorrow somewhere else. Now this here is our bedroom in Balstone. Really nice. Diana has made her bed, of course, being very tidy, and I've left mine like that. Got a TV. This is our bathroom. They're a pretty ordinary kind of place, really. It only gets interesting when you come to the view, because it's got these. See that way you have the. And that way you have that village, and that one way you have the village, the other way you have the hills. Beautiful. Hospital Porter's pride and dignity stop the New World Order. Welcome to Paranormal TV. This is my first ever shot with my new camera, so hopefully it'll work. We'll find out. If you're watching this, then it means it does. This is my new camera. It's actually, I'm really quite pleased with it. It's really, really nice. I've got to say thanks to the viewer actually who bought this for me. It's really, really nice. It's actually Sony Handycams. It's exactly the same line as the one I'm using now. Difference is it's the latest model, whereas the one I've got now is 10 years old, so it's pretty much ancient by electronic standards. This is much more sophisticated than, see, you just open that up and it goes on, and it has a lens cover there, so it's open like that. But it's pretty much the same. As you see, it makes the same noise and everything, because it is, like I said, it's the same line. It's I had to go get like a media disc for it. It goes in there. It's like a film chip that goes in there, a very small one, really fiddly. I could hardly hold it with my big fingers. And there's your USB interface socket there. Battery goes in there. Oops, what did I do there? Oh, taking there's an photos taken automatically. You just press that photo button. I've just found out. There's the zoom function. Yes. But like in many ways, despite the fact this is a much more modern version, it has certain things that are not as good. I mean, probably they've done that to keep the price down, which is fair enough. For example, this is not a touch screen. It has like It has a button at the side here, as you can see, and that's how you operate it. But the actual menu itself is fairly similar, but it's much more updated. It's much more modern. It doesn't have a night light of the type I'm familiar with. It has a lens cover, but this one, the one I've got now, has a lens cover, but I broke it pretty soon after I started it. It's much light. It's very light compared to the one I have now, my old camera. It doesn't have a peephole, if that's the right word. It doesn't have a peephole viewfinder. It just has this one monitor viewfinder. And it's really, really nice. I really, really do like it. Like I said, it has a lot of, in many ways, despite the fact it's more modern, it's not as good in many ways as the one I have now. It has the same record button, but it's not as good. Not by a long stretch. But I have to replace it. I have to. And the main reason I have to replace it is because this old thing is not going to last much longer. It's that simple. And now this is my original camera. Now most of the Herpanmo TV videos, about more than 95% of them, are filmed using this faithful old Sony camcorder, the Sony Handycam 2008. And it's, like I said, the one I've just shown you is the latest in the same range. So, but this is much, like I said, it's much older, it's bigger and bulkier and it's much heavier. But it has several. In what way is it not so good? Well, it has a battery here at the back you slip in rather than an internal battery thing. But it has, for example, it has a touch screen. It has touchscreen media like that. So you switch it on like that. It has an on-off switch. When you just open up the monitor, nothing happens. But with this camera, I've got this new modern camera, it does. It just simply switches it on. This one has an on-off switch there, and as your monitor goes on. Now the monitor is a touch screen. See? It's a touchscreen monitor, unlike the other one. Okay. There's your memory. There's your film chip in there. USB interface. Has several other functions there. And anyway, it's a lot more complicated actually than the new one. Much more complicated. But it has like the peephole lens viewfinder. As I said, I'm not sure if that's the correct technical term. It has the same good old record button here. But it also has something I've never used before. But it has this. Different. You can actually store a memory disk in here. Look, see, there you are. You can actually use a disk. I don't think they do these anymore actually, but it had those kind of discs. What they call DVD rewritable memory disk things. There we go. And the lens cover doesn't work. It's jammed open. At least it was jammed open and not shut. So I can't really complain. There's your recharge socket there. But the reason, obviously, this is not going to last much longer. I mean, it does work, still works perfectly after, well, pretty much perfectly after 10 years of continuous use. There's the microphone. It used to have the furry thing on top, which got lost, so the wind is now a problem again. But it's not going to last much longer. That's a fact. It's simple laws of physics. You know, electronics machines don't last forever, and it's going to break down. It's going to break down soon, which is why I've replaced it now. This doesn't. I'm going to still use it. I'm going to keep using it for as long as it works, basically, because I do like it. And I've got this other one I'm using now. I'm recording on now for when the wheels drop off this thing. So I'm treating it like YouTube, really. and what I'm recording now is this here is the equivalent of BitChute. But you know, I mean, it's. I don't think I'll throw. When it buggers up and it stops working, I won't throw it away. I don't think I can bear to throw this away. I think I'll keep it as a souvenir. It's just, I've been using this. This is the camera I've been using for almost all of Herpanmo TV since Herpanmo TV started, and it's functioned for 10 years. It's functioned with no major faults for 10 years. It's been very loyal and very faithful, and I don't think I can bear to just chuck it away. I can't bear to do it. I think I'll keep it as a souvenir. I'll keep the battered hulk of it as a souvenir forever and ever and ever.
Well, it is Friday now. It is June the 1st. That means it is St. Theo's Day. And unfortunately I'm not in Oxford to celebrate St Theo's Day or to wish anyone a happy St Theo's Day. I am going to make a St Theo's Day movie, and there's going to be a St Theo's Day celebration, but it is going to be belated this year, so apologies for that. In the meantime, from the West Country, in the middle while we're skywatching, I wish to wish, strange phrase that, all my brother and sister porters and everyone who has supported and appreciates the hospital portering service a very, very happy St Theo's Day 2018.
Interesting set of beers they got here. All lot of and look at this. There's one here called Black Ops. How about that? Very appropriate. We've been cut off from the mobile phones up here. And it's odd that I like to be in this world and not be able to get mobile phones, but this is what this place is like here at Balstone. Diana is having trouble with her connection. Look at this. This is the tours of Dartmoor, right next to the village, and the clouds are breaking up at last. If only it'd been like this last night, and if only it had. Oh look, there's this sort of ruin thing. I don't know what this is, but this is like where we were sitting. We're sitting on these benches over here, looking across at there. And it was this area here where Diana had her experience a few weeks ago, and she showed me some photos of various things, including some strange sort of anomalies in the photographs, which I'm not sure what to make of. But one of them looks like a grey. And there's that pussycat. There's that pussycat with the Bailey's addiction. And the sun's coming out. It's actually quite warm, and there's sheep all over the village green. Only in Devon. Only in Devon. I just want to show you something quickly. This is the Tours, which is the big pub in Balston, which is where we were staying. Our rooms are up there above it. And this is the yard where there's the beer barrels and things like that. And look what they got here. Up here above the rubbish bins, they have it's actually an iguana from South America, a type of lizard. I wonder what they're trying to tell us. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to come to somewhere very familiar if you watched last year's film. There will be a link in the description box to that, of course. We're heading for North Loo, which is the beautiful, charming little village where we stayed, which I was going all gooey over. I love these little villages. We're going down this very narrow road here, which is UFO Alley, we've called it, because, of course, do you remember what happened last year? The strange lights we saw? Well, I filmed some of them. And it's along here that we had our very, very strange experience. There's a riding school, isn't there, Diana? Yeah. And that's where we had a very, very weird experience. We've just been listening to Muse, which, of course, they're very New World Ordery. And Matt Bellamy, lead singer, he attends all of David Icke's events. And they've got a song called Exopolitics, which is interesting. I don't know if you've got a copy of that. Have you got that song, Diana? I don't know which album it's on. Yeah, I played it on my show once. But this is like... I'll tell you when we get to the bit... I'll know the bit where we saw the UFO last year. Or the UFOs. I think there was a whole crowd of them in the sky. We thought it might be like spotlights from below. Or it might be the lightning, which came later, but it wasn't. It wasn't that at all. It was something else. Now I remember there was like a row of trees, and we're getting close to it now, yeah. And so the weather seems to be breaking up a bit. We've got some clear sky. We're staying in the same hotel we were in before, and yeah, it was around about here. When you see the riding school, you'll know where we are. Amazing views here, just where the trees break up. You can see across Dartmoor. So there. It's 6 miles long, this narrow road leading to North Loo from the main road. North Loo is as isolated as Belstone, actually. It's one of these really lovely little places that are in the middle of nowhere. There's not even a mobile phone signal. That's where I went to look at the lightning when the lightning first started.
Yeah.
Here we are, the Grange.
Yeah.
This is it. Was it just over here? That's it, the Grange Riding School.
See, it's great. See it.
Yeah.
This bit.
Yeah, it's a bit overgrown now, but this is basically where we were, where we saw it. And we I suppose we panicked a bit and we sort of like fled down the road here. It was a bit scary. I went back to try and have a look and I could see them, but then the lightning started. Oh, those houses there. It's where we parked, do you remember? So who knows what we might see here tonight? Where was it where we stayed? Do you remember we went and watched the second night? That was near where we saw, near where the abandoned railway was. That's nowhere around, that's not near here. It's the other side of Oakhampton, I think. Other side of Oakhampton. There. This is where we saw weird things last time. The hedges are all overgrown a bit. That's right, we saw something. This is it, yeah, we stopped here, do you remember?
Oh, is it pheasant?
This is where we stopped. Oh, is it? Oh, now look, it's a pheasant. Oh, isn't that lovely? Isn't that lovely? Oh, wow. Can you see that? That's really nice. Oh, it's a beautiful pheasant. That's lovely. Yeah, this is where we saw something very strange last time we were here a year ago. Since then these hedges have grown up a lot more. But you can have a wonderful view here. That house over there is part of North Loo. That's where we're going, we're heading there. The peace and quiet here is amazing. There's just bird song and nothing else. That's where we saw something very strange, didn't we? Yeah. Right, we have a signpost here. So you see Launceston, Oakhampton and Tavistock, and there is a town called Tavistock just to the west of Dartmoor. And I don't know why it's called, why the Tavistock Institute is called that, whether there's a connection, but because the Tavistock Institute originates in London, and no one was called Tavistock involved. Of course, people like I've told you before about Isabel Menzies' Lithe on my previous videos, and so I'm curious about why It's called the Tavistock Institute, where there's a connection there with the town of Tavistock in Devon.
A square at the top as well. You can just imagine them all. They had feasting tables, you know, this is where they all sat and had banquets and...
It's amazing. I mean, see how old it is. I mean, I don't know much about this, but it's built on this big mound, rather like a pre-Illuminati hill fort, which the Celts, the Celtic Iron Age people used to build.
But came along and fucked it all up and upset everyone. Look at that oak tree's been cut there. That must have been...
Oh, yeah, look at these. They must have... I mean, who knows how old this is? It looks... You can see how ancient that is.
There's the Copper Beech again.
Reminds me of Minster Lovell.
Wherever there's Copper Beeches, there's hauntings.
Yeah. Did you say, Diana, there's a lot of UFO activity in this area? There's been a lot of UFO activity around here.
Well, generally.
It's set in a lovely location. It's just like this dell of tree-lined dell, this valley with thick forests on both sides, and there's some houses along the road, which must be lovely places to look at. I'm not going to bother going in. It's a £5 to get in. I'm not going to bother going in. Just going to have a quick look around at what we have here. Yeah. See if there's an information board we can look at. There's an information board. Let's see how much I can see of that. Feel free to pause and read. The 14th century castle. Most of what you are up to date dates in the 14th century where they castle completely remodelled into a comfortable, luxurious residence by Hugh Courtney II. The building was for military defence of the and appropriate of... I could pause and read this, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just going to... So it's... I can't read that bit. What I'll have to do is get this on my computer and have a better look at it. But you can pause and read this, by all means. There's a bit more at the bottom. The walls of the castle, would have been covered in colourful plastered, whitewashed, hung with colourful banners and shields. The small pug dog holes you can see supported the timber scaffolding when the castle was being built. That's those. I see, right. Something very interesting we've just seen. Jurassic World, advertised for Jurassic World, which is like a new film. Fallen Kingdom, new film coming out, and fill up for epic price. Of course, BP, it's based on BP. But as you can see here, there's a picture of this dinosaur, like a T-Rex or Raptor or something. And funny enough, we were just talking about Joanne Richards, Diana and I, and about her own views about Dartmoor. In her opinion, is where the alien creatures she calls them. What was it she calls them? Not the Jatoon. They're big slug-like things, aren't they? But there's these intelligent raptor-like creatures, dinosaur-like creatures, that apparently wander the stately homes of Devon and things like that. And I don't know exactly if that's what sort of thing she was talking about, wasn't she? And it's funny we got that amazing poster that just made us reminded us a bit of synchronicity there. But we were talking about Joanne Richards, and I hope she's all right. I hope Joanne Richards is all right. I haven't heard from her for a while. This is your Stickle Path. This is a lovely one of these sweet little towns on Dartmoor, where, as you see, there's the thatched cottage, of course, and this is where we, Diana and I stopped for tea or coffee. I think it may have been in that place last time when we were here, and it's a really beautiful little sort of place. It's the kind of place that American tourists think all British people live in. Which of course we don't, and it's as alien and exotic to me, a place like this, as it is to the Americans. But I do really love it. And so we're taking a slightly scenic route to our next destination, which I think you'll find very interesting. I'll say more in a minute. But yeah, we're driving on this little road here. There's wild sheep, all those sheep just wandering free. See, oh, aren't they cute? There's a little lamb, aren't they cute? and you can see this landscape which you saw on the last year's film, where we're actually walking up to these rocks, and it's this really primeval, desolate landscape. Reminds me of the Pennines. Oh, isn't that cute? Oh, look, hello. Hello, little sheepies. Aren't they cute?
Oh, cute.
And we're heading now towards where this is according to the sat-nav, we're actually on the Postbridge Road, the famous B1234, B3212. However, according to my map, we're on the smaller road leading to that, and I think we can actually see the actual road we're looking for there. You can just see some vehicles parked along there. It's almost lunar landscape here. It's like there's no trees, there's just grass and gorse and heather and bare rock. You can see it's easy to get lost up here, and well, you could disappear up here and no one would ever know. So this is probably not a safe place to be at night, I'd say.
Horses.
Yeah. There's a lovely little Dartmoor pony there with a foal. How sweet that is. And just have a look at that landscape. It's funny we've got these little aliens hanging from the rear view mirror that Diana has in her car. You can see that Diana and I are kindred spirits in that way. Look at that over there, there's a thick forest over there.
I bet you better stop for a minute.
Correct, let's stop here and have a look at the view. Well, this is the B3212, and we're looking now across the really rugged part of the Dartmoor, which is the western half of the national park. You can see here we have like moorland and this thick forest over there. It looks like a ridge of hills, but it's actually woods. There's actually trees in the distance, and there's cloud coming down over the distant hills. It's really an amazing place. It's incredibly atmospheric here. Really are in the middle of nowhere. Right, we are driving along the B3212, which is a pretty infamous road in the world of paranormal research, because this is the road of the hairy hands. I've been meaning to come here for many, many years, and there's a sheep right in the middle of the road with a death wish. Out of the way, sheepy, come on. Oh, bloody look at that. Look at that. He's standing right there. Go on. Thing.
He's making a point. That was...
They've been annoying there, aren't they? These sheepies. Oh, hello, sheepy. Well, anyway, now this is really weird. It's a really weird mystery that's been uncovered. Now, what happens is a number of motorists on this road for many, many years now have been reporting a very strange and disturbing phenomenon. First of all, I should point out this road has a very high accident risk, large number of fatalities, which makes me wonder about how many people encountered this paranormal phenomenon and have not lived to tell the tale. What happens is, well, a number of people who experienced crashes here and came off the road told a very, very strange story. They were driving along as normal, and suddenly they felt something on their hands as they were holding the steering wheel. Their hands, they suddenly felt a second pair of hands closing over the top of theirs. You know, now these hands were very, very big and very, very strong and covered in hair. They felt furry, they felt hairy, and this became known as the hairy hands phenomenon. And these hairy hands took over the control of the car, basically by forcing, because they're very strong, these hands, completely invisible, you can't see anything, you just feel it, by forcing the car or the vehicle, or in one case it was a motorbike, off the road. So the wheel is forced out of your hands. Well, your hands are still on the wheel, but these hairy hands are pushing it along. And now the skeptics have put this down to, you know, weird road gradients and things like that, but the people literally put this in, no, these hairy hands covered my own. And so I'm coming over here with Diana, and I have advised Diana, in all seriousness, to keep her speed down and to have her foot on close to the brake, and as the moment she feels anything wrong with her hands, to hit that brake hard, because it is a very, very serious situation here. And this is it, the A3212 on just before you get to Post Bridge, which is at the heart of Dartmoor, and this is where the hairy hands takes place. The hairy hands phenomenon takes place, and there's a number of reports of this, and I hope we won't become another report. I'll tell you, because no one knows what this thing is, what it is. It's obviously very destructive. It's obviously very dangerous, and there's no parallel I know of anywhere in the world to say what kind of paranormal phenomenon it is. It may be a jinn or demonic entity of some kind. We don't know. We don't know. There's a lovely pub here, the Warren Inn. My goodness me, right in the heart of nowhere. The Warren Inn. Isn't that lovely? And so we're slowly and cautiously driving along the Hairy Hands Road right now. And there is Post Bridge. Post Bridge, right in the heart of Dartmoor. It's kind of an oasis, actually, because, like, Dartmoor's just all around is like desolate moorland, which I just showing you. And in the middle, Post Bridge is like a river, and there's like trees and bushes. It's more like an ordinary country village, so it's like an oasis. When you come to this little like valley, where there's like these little babbling brook down the middle of it, and there's this here, and we're crossing over this bridge here. This is called the Clapper Bridge. Now, there's not a lot we know about this, because it's obviously very old, probably far older than that arch bridge beyond it. But it appears to be some kind of very old footbridge that had been put across the river here. And there's no signboard or anything like there was at Oakhampton Castle to tell us what it's all about. So your guess is as good as mine, except it's old and it's obviously quite famous because it's like mentioned on the map. Quite amazing that, yeah. Okay, I've done some extremely thorough, very, very professional, in-depth research into the Clapper Bridge. In other words, I've wikied it. And it turns out a Clapper Bridge is an ancient form of bridge found on the moors of Devon, Dartmoor and Exmoor, and other upland areas of the United Kingdom, Snowdonia, Anglesey, Cumbria, Yorkshire, Lancashire, formed of large slabs of stone, often granite or schist, supported by stone piers across rivers or resting on banks and streams. It's credited with a prehistoric origin, but most were erected in the medieval times, situated close to a ford where carts could cross. The word clapper derives from Anglo-Saxon cleaca, meaning a bridge of stepping stones. Oxford English Dictionary gives immediate Latin as forms clappus or claperius, of Gaulish origin, meaning an initial for a pile of stones. A fine example, the Post Bridge Clapper Bridge, that's the one we're at, can be found at Post Bridge on Dartmoor. It slabs over 13 feet, I don't do European measurements, 13 feet long, 6.6 feet wide, and weigh over 8 tons each. First recorded in 1380. My goodness, that's really old. So that's interesting, isn't it? That although Clapper Bridge is typically associated with the United Kingdom, other Clapper-style bridges exist throughout the world, such as the Anping Bridge in China, which is over 2 kilometres long. That's a big one, isn't it? Well, so that's all I've learnt so far. Hope that enlightens you as much as it's enlightened me. I'm now bathing my feet in the stream where Clapper Bridge is. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Paranormal TV viewers, we've come back to the same spot we were in, Diana and I, in the last time we did the video. Now, I can't remember exactly when that was. I think it was actually, I would say it was sort of September, October time. Judging by, look at the undergrowth we've had to clear away to even get to the gate where we're supposed to be, which just shows exactly how overgrown it is this time of year. So we've got like we're going to see what we can see now. Now, we had an amazing sighting last time we were here. Absolutely amazing. It was like we had the orange lights we saw the first night from another angle we saw again, which was very, very interesting because it allowed us to triangulate this position, so we knew exactly where these orange lights were appearing. Unfortunately, on the third night, we came back here on the third night and we saw nothing, which is very disappointing. And we came up here with the High Wycombe paranormal people, and they were really hopeful because after 2 nights where we saw this orange light and we saw nothing, which is a great shame. It really is. But here we are, back at the same spot. And you can see here there's various buildings along here. There's the railway line that runs, I think it's the second row of green bushes beyond that house. And it's somewhere in that area we saw the strange object, the orange light that kept coming and going. And of course in the distance there we can see, again, there's a very long view here. We can see for miles and miles and miles. In the distance there, right up there we can see. And you can see these long beacons in the distance on the horizon. I remember that very well. So now we're in the right position, so we wait. Okay, it's about 9:15. It's now dusk. We're waiting just to see now if anything appears. So far, all quiet. Nothing strange going on, but well, you never know. Okay, it's 10 PM now, and it's quite light, which is quite remarkable considering the time. It's we're only 3 weeks from the solstice, so it's hardly surprising, really. But just feels wrong. Now, there's a number of we've seen no anomalous lights confirmed so far. We've been here about, well, we've been surveying now for quite a while. We have seen a number of flashing non-repeating lights, and in other words, they're not part of a regular pattern like a lighthouse, and they're on the distant horizon. I thought they might be perhaps lights from an airport, perhaps landing lights of aircraft. Not completely sure, but I'm keeping my eye on that location to try and identify them. If they're lights from a landing aircraft, they only appear very briefly for maybe a second or more, which indicates the aircraft is doing a very, very steep turn, which is, I think, is unusual. There's a number of other artificial lights I spotted. A lot of houses are putting their lights on now. Seen a couple of cars, things like that. We can see an awful long distance from here. There's a foreground, which is a mile or less away, and then a very, very distant vista, which you can see behind me now. We're going to continue our survey. So far, nothing to report of any significance. Okay, I don't know how much of this you can see, but it's on the distance of the horizon from our viewing spot. There's been several. The intermittent lights I talked about are still coming and going. You can't actually. Hopefully, you'll be able to see one if one appears while I'm filming. But there's also been, like, separate from that, there's like beams of orange-coloured light shining up into the sky. There's been 4 or 5 of those coming intermittently. Some of them are very powerful, coming from a distance, like I say, from a very, very great distance. We see a long way from here, many miles. Don't know exactly how far. Oh, and there's that white light there again. Do you see it? It just appeared. Not that one. That's a house. Oh, actually, that's slightly to the left of the one that was appearing before. They just sort of flared up. But there's beams actually shining up into the sky. Yeah, that's it. Do you see that? Right there, in the middle of the frame now. Now, there's several things you could be, like I was explaining. It could be car headlights, but I think that's above the ground. Aircraft landing lights, unlikely, as I was explaining. This is not an aerobatics display. This is, aircraft landing lights. They don't pull out tight manoeuvres when they're coming into land. The beams of light could be a hill-brow effect of car headlights shining up against the clouds on full beam. But again, I've only seen a couple of those so far while I've been here. There's bright fog, and there's heavy fog at the moment in that distance, and it's starting to rain slightly. The cloud is becoming thicker, which is a disappointment. But distinctly seeing beams of light shining up into the sky. Not laser beams, more like lighthouse beams or searchlights going up into the sky. Along with intermittent flashing lights in the distance. That's the most anomalous thing we've seen so far. It's inconclusive so far what those are. Okay, we've now ended the Skywatch. It's 10:30. We've been here for an hour and a half. Well, we've been sort of monitoring for an hour and a half. The problem was a lot of low cloud appeared. Cloud came down really quickly. It started raining, and suddenly the beams I think the beams I saw going up into the sky were car headlights. Probably the distant flickering light was a car headlight too, and the reason it looked like a beam was because when the cloud comes down really low, every single light on the ground carries much further. It really goes up. In fact, we saw really, really bright beams sort of shining up into the sky, just like it looked like a mile away, and we thought, my God, what's that? It was like something from Close Encounters. And when it was very, very clear very soon afterwards it was actually a car. Indeed, the car actually approached us a couple of minutes later. It actually went past us on the road a couple of minutes later. So really, these kind of conditions, you can't tell the moon from a mothership, so it's just no point. So we're going to stop now. But slightly more successful than last night's Skywatch, I must say, but still nothing conclusively anomalous at all. And as for the genuinely anomalous light that we saw last time we were here last year, not a single flicker. It's completely absent. So we're going to go back to our hotel now, and then maybe we'll keep trying. And we're here for another 2 nights, so we're not going to give up. So stay tuned. Okay, we're heading back to North Lou now, where we're staying. We suspected that someone might be following us, but we took a little detour, and Diana did her, we have company, Mr. Bond, lose him kind of thing. And they didn't follow us. This doesn't mean that we're not being surveilled. It's a funny thing, because I knew a woman who dated a policeman once, and her boyfriend, the policeman, asked her one evening, did anyone follow you home last night? And she said no. He says, yes, they did. I was training a team of surveillance detectives. I was training them in how to follow a suspect without them knowing. And normally we pick on a random stranger when we're doing these drills, but I told them to follow you. And she had no idea they were following her. And this is the thing, there's 2 types of people who follow you. The first type of surveillance is when they don't want you to know they're following you, in which case you won't know because they're professional. The second is when they do want you to know, and this is what you get when you get like the men in dark suits with cars parked outside your house like Nick Hayes had. And that's an intimidation tactic. It's not surveillance, it's to frighten you. But we've now come a little bit further, and how's things going, Diana? Is someone still on our tail? Yeah, there's someone else on our tail now, but we're just letting them pass. I don't think there's anything going on now. Okay, but it's always at the back of our minds. We can't help it. We are conspiracy theorists after all. So, and as Kurt Cobain said, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not out to get you. Well, the reason we're sort of like a bit on edge is because someone did actually stop and asked us what we were doing. Now this was we were actually at our parking place where we're doing our Skywatch. We were just about to leave actually, and this the car I told you about that walked past us actually drove past us, which I stopped, and a man said, he's just a local man, not a policeman, obviously in normal clothes. Oh, he might have been an off-duty policeman, or yeah. He said, "You all right, mate?" And I said, "Yeah, how are you?" And he said, "Fine." He drove off. I think he was just wondering why someone had decided to stop in the middle of nowhere, which is where we were. So he was just curious, I think, or maybe he was suspicious. I don't know. There have been poachers in that area, as we know from last year. If you remember last year's film. So so that's maybe why we're a bit on edge at the moment. No, it's all right now. We're just taking a different route home, just in case.
Why not?
Well, it is Saturday morning, and I slept very well last night in my very comfortable hotel room. I'll show you that later. And now we're heading for a place called Knowlstone, which I think you'll find interesting. We're going to do that. We're going to maybe do a couple of other things, then we'll try another Skywatch tonight. As you can see, the weather is a lot clearer today, so let's hope it stays that way, and we don't get all the low cloud we've had the last 2 nights. I'll just show you where we're going today. We're here at Oakhampton, staying at North Lou. We come here for petrol, and so Diana can have a coffee. We're actually heading for Knowlstone. Now, it's a bit tricky to get to, because all the main roads seem to be going northeast, northwest to southeast, northwest to southeast, southeast to northwest. We're heading northeast, so we're going to have to use the small roads. We should be very picturesque, but it'll take us longer. Okay, we're actually approaching a town, or village rather, a very small village with the name of Black Dog. You see that there? And it's very weird, it seems a weird name for a village, even Devon, which has lots of weird place names, called Black Dog. And it's funny because there are, of course, legends of big black phantom dogs all over the world, especially in the British Isles. This is the black shuck, as it's sometimes called in this part of the world, whereas on the Isle of Man it's called Morrie-Doo, and it's called Padfoot in the Yorkshire area. And these are huge dogs, huge black wolf-like dogs, which appear and disappear. They're said to be very, very creepy. They're very cold. Their bodies are cold. One of them said to have one eye in the middle of its forehead, like a sliced cyclops. And here we are. Look, here we are, black dog. And there's a town called. Well, there's also a town here called Wolfardisworthy, which is really another weird name, which is just south of Black Dog, Wolfardisworthy. Now, Wolfardisworthy is actually where the Centre for Fortean Zoology is based. So I thought it's really interesting. They have like a zoo. Oh, here, look, here, we're in a country now. We have tractors passing us. Ooh, hurry! That's how you know it's authentic. Yeah. Oh my God! Now that's the smell of the country, isn't it? But Wolfardisworthy is where the Centre for Fortean Zoology is based, and I think that's very sort of appropriate. We've got a village called Black Dog, a zooform phenomenon, and then just a few miles away is Wolfardisworthy, the home of the CFZ. We might drop in and see if Jonathan Downes is home and ask him if he's got a cup of tea handy. Beach Hill, next right. All right, this is a lovely little area here. But if we see any black dogs, I'll have my camera ready to actually photograph them. Right, we're getting close to Knowlstone now, and this is now this very strange thing here. It's obviously being used as a mast for something, but it appears to have like observation platforms and stairs going up it, or ladders. Now, this to me looks, well, my first thought it was like a fire brigade training tower, but there's no fire station here. So what is this thing? It's a weird design for a mast. And there seems to be some more structures on the ground, which we're going to see in a minute. So let's just keep going and see what happens, see what we see. It's a normal field there. What's that there? There's these big there's these like dishes, yeah. What's that?
Turn right onto Moortown Cross, then take the first left.
What is this? Yeah. Well, there's a big fence around it. That's for sure. There's a very high fence and a hedge so we can't see in. There's a gate here. Let's have a look. Now what is that? BT premises. Oh, it's BT. Let's have a look at that. There we go. Unauthorised access to trespass is not permitted. The use of deadly force is authorised. Well, it doesn't actually say that. But you can pause and read here, ladies and gentlemen. This is clearly somewhere they don't want visitors. BT notice. Oh yeah. It's very, very tight security here. Goodness, I bet you there's something underneath that. There's something strange about that building. It's like the things they've got around Peasmore. How creepy that is. Very creepy.
Even creepier now, look.
Okay, we've moved just a few feet, literally just a few feet, and we have a closed road. Don't know why. Crashed UFO, probably most likely thing, but let's have a look. Road ahead closed. Do you want
to go down it?
Should we go have a look? We all said we didn't see the sign. Well, my curiosity's getting the better of me now. See how far we get before that tank sort of like pulls out and points his gun at us. That's where that BT thing is. This is close to. We're very close to Knowlstone now. Yeah, there'll be a roadblock at some point. Oh, hello, cow. There'll be another roadblock at some point, like, yeah, I know. Beautiful view here. Oh, there's some huts there over there, some sort of like row of buildings. I don't know whether that's farmland or what those things are. I'm not sure. But if the road, there's still no sign of anything unusual since that road ahead closed sign, so I'm just going to carry along here. All right, we have here. This is a road closed. This is the second roadblock we've seen here. This is, you see the signpost where we are. There's some tractors behind us. Road closed here, Devon County Council.
Which way can I go? Which way can I get to? Can I not go through that way?
Yeah, where are you trying to go?
No stone. But we came down this way because we thought we didn't see anything after the first 100 yards. So, oh, it's probably finished. They've forgotten to take the signs down.
No, they're digging up this road.
Oh, can we get to No Stone through there then? Is it closed? Which one's closed? That one or that one?
Well, none of them's closed now.
Right.
They meant to be on Monday, they're digging up the road, putting in the water.
Oh, so it's all right to go through then?
Yeah.
So how do I get to No Stone? It's that one, isn't it? Rose what's it's near No Stone?
Rose Ash, or you can turn around and go back up out here.
Yeah. But Rose Ash is right near No Stone, isn't it?
Yeah, we've got to go to 5 Crossways.
Yes.
Yeah, we can go that way.
So I can go that way, can't I? Yeah. All right then, lovely. Thank you.
Right. Oh, that's interesting. Well, we've got some information there, thanks to Diana. And there's a digger over in that field there. They claim that it's the council digging up the road. I don't believe a word of it. I think there's alien bodies in sealed metal caskets underneath the tarmac. Something like that.
You're trying to talk me out coming down.
Yeah. So there, that's interesting. Right by that strange BT thing. It says it's BT anyway. The sat nav is still on, still guiding us. So we're going to continue to No Stone. There's a place in name here, East Catkill. That's weird. Catkill Farm. Oh my goodness me, Catkill Farm, East Catkill Farm. Catkill. There's a place called Black Dog. There's Catkill. There's all kinds of weird, spooky place names around here. I'll tell you. They're weird. I mean, there was say a few words about the names. I mean, there's some like you go along here, and there's like Corscombe and things like that, which are obviously Cornish. And they're sort of just normal sort of English type place names, but there's some really spooky, weird ones as well, like that one we just seen. And there's it's not actually listed on here, Catkill. I thought, why is it? Where does it get a name like that? Why Catkill? You'd think that would like put them off. At least we haven't seen any cats here lately, have we, Diana? So maybe that's why. Okay, we're almost at this pub now called the Mason's Arms. Now, whether that refers to stonemasons or whether it refers to Freemasons, we'll soon find out. But there's a very, very strange atmosphere here. We've just been to a car park, which was really weird. It's a car park that seems to serve no purpose. It's just in the middle of nowhere. And let's have a look along here. There's been loads of wind turbines here, by the way. We went past the base of some of them. They're very big, but I'll say more about those later. But there's a lot of weird things going around here, and it's got a very strange energy, very strange atmosphere indeed. I mean, with names like Catkill, it's got to be, hasn't it? There's those wind turbines we went past. They're just quite close to Catkill. As I said before, you know, these things are big and they're ungainly. They give off infrasound. They kill bats, and all the time there's this Tesla technology which we're not allowed to use, which will make them obsolete. But the elite insist on us using these wind turbines when we're not using petrol and coal. And there's another view of them. They're very big. They're bigger than they look when you get to the bottom of them. They're very big, probably 100 feet across or more. The rotors. Very, very strange atmosphere here. Very odd energy. Both Diana and I feel uncomfortable here. We're going to go to the pub and see what the pub is like, and hopefully get some more information.
In a quarter of a mile, arrive at EX36 4RY on the right.
Right, that's Sally sat nav just telling us we're there, and here indeed is No Stone. I mean, the name No Stone is kind of. Does it mean a stone of knowledge? Not as in. There's like the Philosopher's Stone from Harry Potter and things like that. We're almost there now. I think we can see it. That there, I think, is probably the pub. That's probably the pub down there, which we're about to reach. It's a beautiful spot, but there's a very dark energy here. Are you parking here? Okay. It's a black car just walking past us. I'm getting bloody paranoid. I can't help it. It's just such an horrible energy here. It's just a weird feeling. A weird feeling. You see the back reflected there. That's better. Nearly there now. Okay, we're heading down the hill to a place called Owlborough. And now, I kind of wondering, it's maybe just the way my mind's working, because I'm in that frame of mind, is there's a branch of the Bohemian Grove around here. There's a pub called the Mason's Arms, and the Owlborough, you know. There's a river that runs through this area called the Crooked Oak, which is a strange name for a river. Rivers normally, like, have more abstract names. But it's called the Crooked Oak River, and, so cute. Excuse me. Like, oh, and here is a ford, so we're approaching a ford. It may be too wide to cross, we're going to see. And it's completely dry, so it's not really a ford at all. That may be the Crooked Oak River, it's just very, very low. I say it's a pretty place, but it's just got a very bad energy. It's got that kind of like Stepford Wives, you know, Twin Peaks type feel to it, so can't help feeling that way. Okay, we're hunting the Nazi house right now, as we're explaining. There's a building around here, which supposedly was some. Well, I'll show you the pictures that Diana took of the book. There's a little pamphlet in the pub where they show exactly what happened. And what does this say here? Right.
I think this is it.
Yeah. Somewhere along here, there's an avenue of beech trees, and you come along to this old house that was built in 1934. And it was built to look like a swastika and an imperial eagle of the Nazis. To get the glass, I'm using too much reflection. And well, they planted an avenue of beech trees that today are fully grown and mature. And at the end of it, there's this building. There's this semi-derelict building, which supposedly was going to be a Nazi headquarters for the New World Order. And we're just going to go and have a look and see. There's this sort of like equestrian centre on the right where the horse jumps and things. But we're going to keep going along here and see how close we can get to where it is. We think we're in the vicinity now. There's something called a log cabin diner. I'll include.
We're lucky.
Yeah, I'll include those pictures you sent me. Which way is it? The right way? Yeah, I think it says this way, doesn't it?
We tried both.
Yeah, I think this is just taking us back. But yeah, it's owned by someone called. I forgot. There's a couple that own it. There's a couple, yeah. Where's it? No, it's not. That's just a cluster of trees.
Turn left onto the alley, then turn right.
What's this? Right.
Turn right onto the alley.
This is this car park I thought was in the middle of nowhere. There was just there's something called the Log Cabin Diner, and apparently for the car, whether this is it, the car park at the Log Cabin Diner, because we saying there's this car park in the middle of nowhere. Anyway, so welcome to the Log Cabin Diner and Pixar. It's somewhere around here. You can see it. There is the Log Cabin Diner over to our right.
Turn right onto the alley.
And it's just what does it says in the book? We read through this very small pamphlet, an amateur pamphlet. And apparently, maybe if you look up through there. We should park here and have a look round. It's somewhere around here. Right, so I started looking to a bit of background. Now, as I explained, Diana and I found a little booklet in the pub, a little pamphlet, a small pamphlet issued by a local author who had researched this. But I found this on devonlive.com. The Devon home where Hitler and his top men were going to live after winning the Second World War. What would have happened if in this Devon village if Hitler had won World War II? And it says here, the Devon home was rumoured to have been built for Hitler and his top men. A Devon mansion was reputedly built to house Hitler's top 10 officers if they won the Second World War. The house is in the shape of a swastika with a hidden domed lighting system that could only be seen from the air. It was burnt down in 1960. The lights were rumoured to signal enemy planes. Now Manor Farm at No Stone, built on the same spot after the fire, is up for sale. Well, that was last year. There's No Stone Manor is subject of a book, A House for Hitler by Christopher Chanter. I've read, that's the book we're talking about, which and we read in the pub very quickly. It's not a book, it's like a 16-page pamphlet. It's very, very small. The original No Stone Manor, built in the 1930s by a German bachelor who lived there alone with his housekeeper. It is rumoured that it was built and 1,600 acres surrounding the land were brought with the Third Reich funds to be used as a Nazi headquarters. The house was put on the market on the final days of the war, July 1945, soon after Hitler's death. And the estate agent at the time said it was probably the most spacious modern country home built in recent years in the home counties. And we have here a little ad, actually, which you can find on the article if you go to Devon Live, and I'm not going to post bloody links everywhere, but it just is an estate agent's ad, July 20th, 1945, North Devon, North Stone Manor, and it talks about the area and how much they're charging, etc., etc., how many bedrooms, etc. It was never proved that the mansion or its owner had links to Hitler. The author Christopher Chanter concluded that the German owner was probably a rich outsider who became victim of rumours. But the thing about it is in the shape of a... It doesn't look like a swastika particular. It does look like an imperial eagle, but then the eagle is also a similar... is also a symbol for the Roman Empire, and there's several places which is shaped like an eagle, and it's been used by Italian traditionalists and things like that. So I don't know what to make of this, quite frankly, but the only solution is to get as close to the event as we can, and I'll find out what happens next.
Now, there's some beech trees. These could be beech trees.
It's got to be. There's no one else.
It is an avenue. It is an avenue of trees. Yes, and they're fully grown. Big trees. And somewhere along here, it must be here. Yeah, it's got to be here.
Nowhere else.
I don't know how close we can get to this particular house, this Birchwood Manor. It's called the Manor House now. It's called No Stone Farm for a while, but it is basically designed to be a Nazi headquarters. I'll do one of these studio things to go with this film. It's very bumpy along here, but here there is an avenue. There's an avenue of trees, definitely. These were planted deliberately in 1934. Oh look, there's a... What's that house? There's nothing there. That's a new house. The road's in a bit of a state. But could that be the farm buildings that were next to it on the image? Could that be it? Could this be it? There's something over there, yeah. Because there were some farm buildings, and then the old No Stone place was on the far end of that. Because this is not the... I think it's just a dead end. Yeah.
That's me, isn't it?
Is that it over there? Look. What's that down in Manor? That's it, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. There's no sign telling us, well, we can't go down here.
It's still cool.
Manor Farm, there it is. This is it.
This is it.
This is the house that's designed to be a Nazi base. Now, we can't get... This is obviously private property, but we can have a look at that.
On this Birchwood.
That's it. Look, that's the gate. That's the gate, remember? From the picture. This gate.
That's both of them.
Yeah, that gate there is exactly the picture that we were shown. And there is the house. Should we get out of one? Look around. Now that, I think, is the building. I'm just going to go over to the gate now. As you can see, it's called Manor Farm. I'm just going to go over to this gate now. Birchwood House, Manor Farm. There's the two names for it. Yeah, I think this is... There's some buildings through that I can't quite see. I think this is it. This is the gate as it appeared in that book, in the booklet. Cattle grid and everything. So, well, somewhere I'll insert a studio section into this bit to tell you more about what we're looking at. But we read a pamphlet in the pub. We went into that pub, the Mason's Arms, not the Freemasons' Arms, and there was a pamphlet, just a short 16-page amateur publication by someone who'd actually investigated this and actually explored them and got permission to go inside. But this is private property. I'm going to respect that. And this, I think, is as far as we can go. But there was definitely, we just showed you the building over there, which I think is it. Yeah, isn't it? Mm. Well, we actually went through the gate, and just a few yards inside the property, where we saw the gate posts, these two cylindrical gate posts with a cone top, which are a feature of the building. However, we didn't go any further. I mean, I didn't film. I do respect people's property, and I didn't want to film in the actual location. All I can show you is on the studio scene that I'm going to insert into this video. But it's obviously been badly damaged. In the fire of 1960, it was very badly damaged. And the couple now who own it don't live in it. It's still there, but it's not been rebuilt completely. But it's interesting to think that was going to be a Nazi base, and that it had a lot of esoteric symbolism built into it, which is a common part of the Nazi idea. So a rather unknown piece of esoteric history there. It's very hard to get to, very hard to find any information about, but we did manage to locate it. We did manage to get a few shots of it, so quite pleased with our work there. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is Exmoor, and well, we're heading for Lynmouth on the coast, and it's just like Dartmoor actually. It's really oldie worldy, lots of ancient wood stone structures, and
turn right onto Kingsford Hill.
lovely little places that hardly anyone ever goes to. Now the lucky people live in these houses here, and well, we're going to see the sights. It looks very different here to how Dartmoor looks. It's a bit more green, a few more trees. It's not that kind of it's not like the lunar landscape I described with Dartmoor, but there's still lots of sheep around. It's quite hilly, and there is actually some moorland in the distance there, I think.
Right onto Kingsford Hill, then take the first left.
I've never been to Exmoor before, so this is somewhere I've never been before, but it is, as Diana's pointed out just now, a major hotspot for UFOs. And also an aircraft went missing here, I think, like a long time ago, sometime in the 70s, I think a fighter jet went missing, and they found the wreckage years later or something like that. I remember reading something about it, but there's a thought that UFOs involved.
Turn right.
Excuse us.
Then take the first left.
Oh, what's this? But it is lovely around here. So there is some more in the distance. When you go into these little lanes and there's these hedges on both sides, it is like, we were just comparing it to the jungle, it is like being on the Ho Chi Minh Trail, it really is. Oh, and that's quite appropriate. The Ho Chi Minh Trail, that's quite appropriate considering where we're going to go. It's one of the most magnificent vistas I've ever seen. This is actually the Lynn Valley, which is where there was I believe a weather warfare experiment, and I'll be saying more about that because it ended in disaster. But this is absolutely beautiful, this whole area, and I've never seen anything quite like this. It really is wonderful, and we can just see the sea in the distance. Can you see the sea there? Welcome to Lynmouth. This beautiful, quaint little town. This little town right on the seaside. There's a harbour, there's the shingles, and there's the sea over there, and of course there's this great, wonderful valley which leads down into the village. Look at that building up there. Absolutely fantastic. And it's got a lovely atmosphere. It's got lovely energy, which we need after the place we've just been to, and it's really refreshing. This here is the memorial. This little alcove is the memorial to the Great Flood. North Devon and West Somerset Flood Memorial Hall. This hall was declared open by, as the name of the person, chairman of the Relief Fund Committee on the 12th day of July 1958 in commemoration of the flood, 15th of August 1952. There's a little bit about the lifeboats here, and it's in this little secluded spot here in Lynmouth. Now, this is the problem. What happened is, this was the flood they're talking about, known as the Lynmouth disaster. As it said, it happened here on 15th of August 1952. What happened was a huge wave, a huge flash flood tore down the valley I just showed you and ripped through the village. Where I'm sitting now would have been 12 feet underwater. Torrential flash flood. 38 people were killed. Numerous buildings destroyed. The bridge across the river there was destroyed, and the bridge further upstream, that was destroyed as well. Some of the bodies were never recovered. Cars and lampposts were all washed out to sea. Now, of course, it's all been put down to a freak of nature, a terrible, terrible natural disaster. But I've looked into this and I don't think it was natural. I think the reason this flash flood occurred is because the UK government were testing a weather modification warfare technique on Exmoor, just where we've been, in the valley where I just showed you. Now, believe it or not, weather is controllable. Weather can be controlled. Weather is not natural. There's all kinds of very sophisticated techniques, electromagnetic, chemical, physical, mechanical, for altering the weather and the climate of the Earth. And sometimes these are used as weapons. If you watch Dr. Judy Wood's and Andrew Johnson's work on the Hurricane Erin and 9/11, that's a good example. And that's just what's not known publicly, but a lot of it is not secret, a lot of it is publicly available. Now, it's well known that if you seed clouds, you can seed clouds. Now, to do that, it's very simple. You just spray certain chemicals into the air from an aircraft at a certain speed and altitude in a certain weather conditions, and it generates huge rain clouds. It creates rain clouds, which makes it rain. It makes it rain really hard. And the RAF were doing that on the valley on the Lynn Valley I just showed you, just before this disaster occurred. Now, there's never been a full investigation. It's just been dismissed as a natural disaster. And after almost 70 years, the government presumably hope that people have given up and they're not going to complete campaign, but there are still campaigns by the few living survivors and the descendants of the survivors of the great disaster, of the Great Flood. Because, in a sense, the proof is in the fact that the weapon was actually developed and was used. It was used during the Vietnam War. There's something called Project Popeye, and what they did in the Vietnam War is they sprayed silver iodide above on the river, in the river areas in Vietnam during the Asian monsoon to increase the rainfall of the Asian monsoon. Now, what happened was there was a large number of, during the war, the enemy lines were supplied by what's called the Ho Chi Minh Trail, which were a number of small pathways where people used to walk or ride bicycles with panniers of equipment and ammunition and weapons and food and things like that for the Viet Cong, the guerrilla fighters. Now, these things were so small, I mean, you couldn't bomb them because whenever a plane came near, the people just disappear, they'd just go and hide in the bushes. You couldn't shoot them because, again, it was all secluded, so they decided to destroy the Ho Chi Minh Trail with flooding. They decided to increase the rainfall, so the rivers burst their banks and bridges were destroyed, and the paths were washed away. The very land, the riverbanks were washed away, and it worked. And it used the same method that was been used here in Exmoor, just before the disaster occurred in 1952.
It's in a sense what was tested here in Exmoor was deployed in warfare in the late 1960s. Project Popeye was a success, and I think the people of this town were the guinea pigs for the experiment. They had to do a live field test, didn't they? They needed subjects. They couldn't do it. What are they going to do? How else would they do it? To prove this weapon really worked, they had to wield it against a human population. And I believe the people of this town were the unwitting guinea pigs of that terrible experiment, that terrible, deadly, live human experiment. We've come across a museum. You can pause and read these.
Back into Lynmouth, the little North Devon seaside resort now sunk to ruins by the Great Flood.
That's where we were walking.
For this is their home, the place where they lived and worked and were happy. Once bright lights in houses that stood near the path of the river, tone of hospitality to be found within. Then the flood came, and now the survivors have come back to search among the rubble for their few belongings. Wreckage on the seashore tells its own story of that dreadful
34 people.
and still the sea yields up all that remains of those who lived and died in the little town.
Little boy's just 8 years old.
But the people of Lynmouth are
3 years, three
the flood could not take
3
away
months.
their nation, and they planned to build anew. The nation, led by Her Majesty the Queen, and indeed the world, heard their cry for assistance, and generously have they given. Accommodation is quickly being provided for the homeless, and already work is underway to clear a site where the new town will be built. Lynmouth shall not die,
6 years ago.
for here are Devon.
1952, longer than that.
Oh, that's when they written this.
It's a model, really scale model of the whole village.
Great floods swept down from the hills to smash the little Devon town of Lynmouth, and still wrecked homes bear witness to the disaster.
Oh my
which
God,
killed
look.
so many. Now the Duke of Edinburgh, on his tour of the West Country, visits the people who have come back, and with Mrs. Slater, chairman of the council, sees the damage for himself. A simple notice records how high the flood reached.
It's been terrible.
A caravan town for those who lost their homes has sprung up in neighbouring Linton. But soon all will be housed in
Boss
complete
Castle
abundance.
thing.
It's very similar actually. The Boss Castle was like a smaller, like it's very. So, no one died there. It was a miracle.
Was that a natural disaster? Boss Castle in this one, wasn't it?
Oh, I don't know. It's,
Heavy rains have caused another landslide into the valley of the West Rim.
oh my God, that's awful. That's been terrible. Viewers can pause and read. Newspaper clippings.
They don't mention anything about it, do they?
Well, not what we were talking about, no. Try and clear it out with a bulldozer there. It's rocks and things that are all brought down by the river. By boulders and debris. Oh, goodness me. The volume of water must have been enormous. Let's turn around. Oh, someone wrote a letter. I got here what looks like a torpedo from a submarine. I don't know if it's a real one. I think it is a real one. The Ancient Mariner. It's the signboard to the pub. It's a torpedo. Yeah, looks like a real one, I think. Yeah. This is another beautiful way to see Lynmouth. Absolutely gorgeous little seaside village, which has survived. It has recovered, and it's rebuilt itself after the disaster of 1952 when the government tried to destroy it in an experiment. And here we are out on the coast. There's a ship over there. Let's have a quick look at it. Yeah, there's a... Oh no, that's actually not a ship. It's some kind of building, but it's on the far side. I think it's on the far side of the what I was going to say Bristol Channel, but I'm Welsh. It's a Severn Sea. Don't call it the Bristol Channel. That is Wales over there, I think. That there is Wales in the distance, South Wales. Yeah, you can see right over there, right across the sea. You check on the map, you see where we are. And there's the harbour. It's a real picture postcard place, this, isn't it? And welcome to the third Skywatch we're doing. And this is a much better one, actually, because the sky, as you can see, is clear. That's the remains of the sunset over there. It's about quarter... What is it? What time is it now? It's about 11:15, I think. It's really late. It took us 6 minutes to 11. Yeah, we've been circuiting the area looking for a good viewing spot. Unfortunately, I didn't make a note of the best one because I thought we could find them more easily, but we can't. So sorry about that, but what we've done is we found a spot on the main road, which is not ideal, but it's pretty quiet here. And I'll just cover my eyes when a car comes along to preserve my night vision. That's all you need to do, really. And we're going to carry on. We're going to see what we can see tonight. Now, sky watching is something you learn over time, and I mean it's an acquired art, I think. There's several stars coming out. There's a star over there. I think that's Venus over there. That's setting over there, Diana. But there's some other big stars above us now. It's something you learn over time. For example, when a guy goes out for his first sky watch and he goes to a remote area and looks up, he'll come back saying, I saw hundreds of UFOs everywhere. And when you ask for details, you'll realise he saw aircraft, he saw weather balloons, he saw satellites, etc. And the reason is, the secret of sky watching is becoming familiar with the night sky. Now, because most people are not, very, very few people actually know anything, recognise anything in the night sky. Very, very few people ever look up into the night sky at all. And they live in towns. They live in towns where they can't see much anyway because of light pollution. So once you start to recognise, when you know the known objects in the sky, you can spot the genuine anomalies. For example, that up there I think is an aircraft. Don't know if you can see that. Yeah, that I think is an aircraft. And there's some stars over there. There's a big star there, which I think is... That I suspect is Venus. It's actually showing a disc. I think that's Venus. And it's setting. It's close to the setting sun, so... we're just going to have a look around and see what we can see. So, we'll let you know what happens. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have already something anomalous. I suspect is anomalous. It was actually something I pointed out earlier, which I thought was an aircraft. Now I'm closing in on it now. Can you see it? I'm trying to zoom in on it. I don't think it's going to be picked up on my camera. I can describe it to you.
Yeah, it looks superficially like a small star, a small distant star. It's a much higher. It's ascendant to Venus. It's higher up. Its elevation is about. I'm just covering my eyes. There's a car coming. Hang on. Just want to preserve my night vision. But its elevation is about 30 degrees. So, and Venus is also visible at the same time. What's weird about it? It seems to be multicoloured. It's flashing different lights. It was actually Diana who spotted it first, I must admit. And it has a pattern. It seems red, green, blue. It seems to have multicoloured lights on it. Very close together. You can't make out any structure at the moment. It's not moving. It's completely still. I'm interested to see if it actually moves with the other stars as time goes past. So very, very odd indeed. Unless there's some kind of weird filtering effect from the atmosphere that can produce that. I don't know of one that can make multicoloured lights appear on the same star. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. Still not sure what it is, but we'll keep you posted. Okay, we're continuing our observation of the strange object in the sky. I distinctly saw through my binoculars a flashing red light on the object appear and disappear. Then there's a cycle of orange and green lights on the object as well, as if it's a big traffic light in the sky. It has not moved. Its elevation, I say, still about 30 degrees. The other stars are, for instance, Venus is setting right now. This object has not descended so far. Venus has dropped about 3 degrees, I'd say, and will set probably within the next hour. This object is still at the same elevation. We won't know for certain whether it is actually still moving with the other stars yet. But it'll be interesting to see if it actually does move with the other stars, which indicates it's at a static point in space rather than in the atmosphere. But Diana's managed to get some photographs of it, which is good. I should also mention that the anomalous colours are visible with the naked eye. This is why I originally thought that it was an aircraft, but it has not moved. Because of the green and red beacons, I thought were the green and red beacons of the aircraft. So I'm covering my eyes again, just protecting my night vision from car headlights. The anomalous colours are, as I said, visible with the naked eye. They seem to be like a cluster, very, very tight cluster. It would be easy to mistake this for a star if you weren't looking at it closely. Okay, we've had a bright amber light, Diana's noticed, appeared to the right of a tree, which is roundabout from where we're sitting, where Venus was setting. It's completely static and it's moving slightly. It's moved slightly since we first started seeing it. It's near the horizon. We've also had several anomalies in the other direction towards our south, where the moor is, including an intermittent red light between the trees. We've seen another anomaly similar to the first one, which was the object with multiple coloured lights, red, amber and green. And I've seen a white object I thought might be the International Space Station or a similar satellite. And it was moving across and it just disappeared, as if it was cloaked, which is very, very strange. It's too late for satellite reflections as well. So we're going to wait here and see what happens next. Well, we actually moved slightly. We went down the road to try and see if we could locate where the amber light came down, but we didn't actually see anything. We didn't get a very good view of the fields because of high hedges. What it was, we still don't know. We don't even know what we didn't really have a range on it, so it could have been far more distant than those fields. If it did come there, if there was an object that came down in the field, then it's gone dark. Alternatively, it could be a far more distant object, which maybe moved below the horizon or somewhere, in which case we wouldn't have seen it. The road is getting slightly quieter now, I'm glad to say, because it's been very, very noisy indeed. Very, very active. So, because we're on a main road this time, not a small road. The object, the multicoloured object I pointed out earlier to the north, is descending. It appears to be a fixed point in space, and I've compared it with other stars, and none of the other stars are exhibiting the same effect, which means it makes it unlikely to be some kind of filter. So I'm going to continue. So we're going to continue and see what we can find. It's absolutely beautiful, actually. I see so much. Really lovely. Seen several white, steady points of light moving in a straight line in the zenith area of the sky. Not sure what they are. One appeared to be following the course of an aircraft. If the aircraft and the object were at the same altitude, you could say that possibly it was tracking the aircraft or something like that. It's impossible to know what they are. It's difficult to know, but they were steady points of white light, straight in a line, steady speed, in the zenith area of the sky. We've got the moon about to rise. It's about coming close to 1 AM now, and the moon is coming up to the north west, I believe. We've still seen several small lights, several shooting stars, several small lights. Nothing more to report at the moment, but it's a beautiful, very interesting sky.
Frequency for poachers. Mind you, it's dangerous for them to do that if they thought we were poachers.
Yeah, we've had someone's actually approached us, just like last night. Just a couple of the car pulled up, civilians just passing, and we thought they might be the police, but they just said, "Oh, we wonder what you're up to, just watching because we saw you go into the gate." Well, we weren't going to the gate, we were just parking the car so we could look into the next field. And the guy explained that the field where we are now, next to it, we're next to, he grazes sheep there, and he knows the owner.
Sheep.
Yeah, he said sheep. But we explained we're on public land, we're just stargazing, and he said that's all right. He seemed a nice enough chap. I don't know, maybe they've had rustlers or poachers in the area, and it's made them suspicious of people. But they seemed all right. But it's amazing that I don't know if it's a good sign that people are looking out for each other, or it's a bad sign that everyone's suspicious of each other. But either way, it's all the time now you get this. Hi. I'm just going to show you my room here at the hotel, at Martin's Hotel, Elmfields in Northley, which I really recommend. And it is an antique lover's dream, this is. There's all these old statues of elephants and these lovely pictures on the wall. Really traditional sort of styles. And it's a lovely... This hotel's the only one where you get like a pair of slippers and a dressing gown. Pretty amazing. Real old style mirrors, that is. Really great. You can imagine going in there and coming out in Narnia, or... sorry, that's Wonderland, isn't it, the mirrors? Narnia is the wardrobe. And here we have... move my bag out of the way. A massive wardrobe. Hi Aslan, how you doing? So it's that kind of place. It's really, really nice. And I've got this little like window seat there, you see. You can sit on that, like a corner chair, window seat. Now, it was lovely because I was down at breakfast, which is in the breakfast room I showed you in last. I showed you the breakfast room in last year's video. There's no need to show it again. Like the dining room. But I was sitting there and there was church bells ringing, and I sat there thinking, silence and church bells. It's like totally beautifully English rustic kind of utopia, really, I suppose you'd call it. I mean, there are churches. You do hear church bells in Oxford, in like the suburban areas and in the university, you know. But it's been much less now, and they're being. Well, I think the SJWs are calling them racist. So a lot of people are. Of course, you don't disagree with the SJWs. And they're denouncing them as racist, and they're stopping them. It's probably replaced them with the muezzins at the top of the towers and the minarets of the mosques, calling people to prayer. So it's been a lovely sort of like rich experience here, and I mean, I don't need to repeat the points I made in the last video, you know, but basically this is like another world. It's like going back in time. It is really like the fortresses, I think, of natural cultures in the world will be the small villages, as Mahatma Gandhi pointed out. That the village that is the central, is the centerpiece of traditional Indian culture, and he was right. And the same, I think, goes in for Britain. The villages like this are the places that everyone will need to go to in the post-Illuminati world to rebuild their traditional culture. It's the cities where the powers that be break down society first, and because they know that spreads out to the countrysides. And this is a process that's been going on for over 200 years since the start of the Industrial Revolution, as the countryside emptied and cities grew. And coming here is like stepping back to another world. Well, last night we ended the Skywatch. I was too tired to switch the camera on when I got back. We ended the Skywatch about 1:30. Again, it's frustrating. Nothing really definitive. There's nothing kind of decisive about anything we saw. It was all like unusual looking stars with strange effects, which might have been like a rainbow effect, but the other stars weren't doing it. And there was those strange lights across the sky, and which could have been something else. I don't know. We need to see something which not only cannot be explained, is unidentified, but defies explanation. A close encounter. That's what we're trying to get, basically. So we'll try again. So we've got one more night here, one more Skywatch, and well, plenty to do today. I've got some plans, so we'll see if they come to fruition. But I do hope you'll accompany me for this final day of this Skywatching trip to Devon, where we've done far more than Skywatch. And I'm going to go out in a minute, but in the meantime, I shall entertain myself with my bedside book, AD After Disclosure by Richard Dolan and Bryce Zabel. This is the 2nd edition paperback, so it's been very, very useful to me. Indeed. Very, very interesting book, I do recommend. And this is this lovely building at the Elmfield Manor Guest House. That window there is Diana's room, and my rooms are on the other side. There we are. We decided to have separate rooms this time because she drove me crazy with her snoring, and I drove her crazy with my snoring. But it's to show you this magnificent garden here. Look at that lawn. Oh goodness me, isn't it lovely? Look at that bench and the little gazebo there, or the little gateway. That's it. Yeah, isn't it lovely? It's fantastic. And it's a beautiful morning actually. There's little light clouds, there's a couple of like sylph-like things, but no major chemtrails. Seen a couple of aircraft go over, leaving normal contrails. And so we're going to be heading off soon. Look at that little doggy there, it's really cute. That's one of Martin the landlord, that's one of his doggies. He's got 2 doggies. And that there is a bird table there, so birds can eat peacefully without the cats getting them. Yeah, and well, you've seen a lot of the interior of this hotel in the last film. So if you in fact, I do recommend actually, if you haven't seen it, go and watch Skywatching in Devon. There's a link in the description box to that, and it gives you a bit of an overview of what we did, because we basically stayed at the same place and did many of the same things last time, and so we got like doing pretty similar things this time, and yeah, it's what time of year was it? I think it was like a different time of year. I should check this before I came out. I think it was more sort of October time we actually went there last year, although if you check the link in the description box you'll know by now whether I'm right or wrong with that. But one thing I noticed, the big difference, even though we've been to many of the same places, with the amount of undergrowth. As I said, I was comparing these little lanes to the Ho Chi Minh Trail, and it was like that. But like when we were at the Skywatching on the 2nd night, we had to stamp down a whole load of nettles that had grown up near the gate the disused gate which was our viewing point. Like, I don't remember doing that last year, which means it must have been maybe later in the year. Oh, but it's just wonderful. There's butterflies circling over there. There's birds singing. And it's the kind of place that... How different it will be. What a different life it will be to live in a place like this, as opposed to in a city where I do live, or where the majority of people by far in Britain live. How different it will be. It's like amazing, absolutely amazing. The peace and the quiet and the fresh air. And dogs, the birds singing, doggies barking, the church bells ringing. It's great to be able to get away to a place like this. You see lots of birds flying around now. Once you sit down here and you're quiet, they all come around and play, these little birdies. And they look for food and things like that. And of course they go on the bird table there. A bird table is an important thing to have actually, because like, if you want to leave out tidbits for birds, which is good, especially in winter time when when some birds don't migrate, having these little bags of seeds there, you see, they're pretty good. And they love those. But if you don't get a bird table, then like if you put them like in the middle of a lawn or something like this, which is a long way from any bushes or any cover, because basically the cats will ambush them if they're in any place where the cats can actually do so. So in the middle of the lawn, the cats can't do that because they'll sneak up on them, but then they'll have to run across the open lawn and the birds will be able to fly away before the cat gets there. On a bird table, the cat can't get up there. Or if he tries to get up there, it's very obvious and the birds will have time to flee. But yeah, there's again, it's like birds do, you get birds in Oxford too, obviously, it's not like that is only something to do with the countryside. I was just hearing some noise, it's like an engine noise, like there's a lorry or something coming up the road. That's the most kind of like urban sound I've heard since I've been here, actually. Well, believe it or not, this is where we were skywatching last night. We're back again in daylight, and of course it looks completely different. Looks totally different. So the moon was rising over there. We saw several lights over here, and up in the zenith, of course. And over in this direction here was where we saw several strange lights as well, anomalous lights too. But as always, it's impossible to know exactly what they were. It's over there that we saw that strange fuzzy blob of light. It's hard to actually, when you look at this place as it was back then, look at it as it is now, it's hard to really fathom that it's the same location, because it's like it looks totally different in daytime.
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
Because that house, that field where I thought it was, it isn't. That white building is miles away.
It's hard to get a range on things at night, really is, to get a range on various phenomena.
And to me that looks like some kind of factory, and that was probably a factory, right?
Yeah, that was, I remember seeing a big blob of orange artificial lights just to the east of that post there. And you can see there is a large, what looks like some kind of large building that could be a factory or something. Oh, it's got to change the film chip in a minute. Alright, what we've got to do, there's a town there. Now, there's a couple of red lights over here, but that could just easily be... You see there's like a wind turbine there. It could be there's a red light on top of the wind turbine to prevent aircraft. Yeah, there's an aircraft warning light, that's one possibility. So let's get the... There. The static red, that's probably what the static red light was.
Because all tall structures have red lights on the top for aircraft. Cranes and things like that have them. So, yeah, weird. It's weird to see this in daylight, it is. It is it's a strange feeling. Because we spent like about 2 hours up here last night and it was totally different. Okay, we're on a road here. Just stopped because we got the view down this valley and there's some strange activity in the base of the valley. Now, first of all, there's a field over here. Where is it? Well, there was these 2 orange shacks. There, those 2 orange shacks there. And there's some strange objects coming to and from there. And we think they might be drones, or they might be model aircraft of some kind. But we're just tracking. We tracked a few strange looking blobs. A couple of them turned out to be birds, but there was some that I don't think were birds by their behaviour and their shape and size. They were bright white. I think they were spherical. I'm not sure, but they were coming from this shack. I can't see any people by the shack, but they seem to be coming from this area, these 2 orange shacks. Whether they were animal feeding pens or something like that, I'm not sure. No, I think they're gone. I'm not sure, but there's like a white one that went like this. It went from there right across there like that to these trees, and then it sort of disappeared. Luckily Diana spotted them, she's got very sharp eyes. It's a beautiful spot, this. It's a lovely spot. We've been trying to find we're looking to try and find a good sky watching site for this evening while it's daylight. And we don't want to end up by the main road like we were last night. But we want to find somewhere a bit quieter and more secluded, though not out away from civilization so we could get abducted. Well, it's always a risk, isn't it? It's just a sensible precaution we want to take, you know, so... odd little things that we find here.
Maybe birds can fly backwards.
Well, I don't know. Anyway, nothing. Everything seems to be normal now with this area. So.
There's got a green man on the front.
Is it green man where? Oh yeah, it's got a green man on that house. And this is this church here. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm in Throwley, and if you want to know, Throwley's a pretty remote place. Just to orientate yourself, it's just outside Chagford. That's how remote and in the middle of nowhere Throwley is. Look, you can almost these are small streets, and there's all these little thatched roofs here. This is, like I said, really ancient and really funny thing is, we went into this church. This is Throwley Church. And it's this tiny little sweet little church, St Mary. Here we are. St Mary the Virgin Throwley, the Widden parishes. We went in there, and it's really nice. Everything's really old. There's this old kissing gate you go through, and there's this little garden. It looks really sweet. This is really sweet and charming, quaint, as the Americans say. But what did we see, Diana? We could see into the back. We could see into the back of a house. I won't say which one, and we saw this red demonic entity as a ornament in the window. It was really, really weird. I didn't film it. I don't want to go filming in church graveyards, all right? But and also I don't want to identify the people.
What's going on in my coffee?
Because this may be just something completely innocent.
Oh look, what went in my coffee?
I don't know.
What is that?
It's almost like they put in Costa.
A beetle.
But
And that is
Yeah, Diana's just found a beetle in her coffee. Sorry.
And it's rock hard, so if it'd been dead for a while, not
Right,
thinking
yeah.
I could have drunk that.
So yeah, it's a very odd thing to encounter in this very odd place. It's a very nice place. A pagan looking door there. No,
Oh,
we've got
it is, yeah.
There's actually a green man there, see?
What a fabulous door, look.
Yeah.
It's like something out of a fairy tale.
Here's like a hobbit hole door, yeah. But it's like, look at this ancient wall over it. It's like, that's probably been there for 300 years. And it's all perfectly built. And the people who know how to do this, like thatching, you know, 'cause like, I don't know. We saw some guys thatching a roof, but they were all white men, so probably it's going to be banned as racist. And, you know, within a few years, there'll be nobody left how to do these roofs. The thing about it is, though, these thatched roofs, they look like they're made of straw. Like, you think, oh, they're not going to last long. But literally, if you do them right, they will last for over a century. It'll be over 100 years before they need doing again. But the problem is, it's such a skill. It's such a delicate skill. And the thatchers, the people who do it, they're a dying breed. So it could be that when these roofs do need replacing, because they'll last for over a century, barring accidents and things like that and fires, and they're treated so they don't burn, it will literally be, they'll have to be replaced with something else.
This whole area, now, have they got people watching us?
It doesn't surprise me. I mean, it is kind of like the
Summer aisle.
Yeah, it's got that Wicker Man feel to it. I'm glad I'm not a policeman, or I might end up burned. But you just have that feel to it, and it's like, there's a book actually in Martin's Hotel I want to have a look at, because it's about one of these missing village. And I was walking, I'll just show you more about this. Sure, yeah, let's go up here, because this is where we went last night, wasn't it?
Oh, ley line.
We went a ley
Did you
line.
hear that? The lock's going on.
The central lock-in on this car sometimes suddenly activates when we go over a ley line. But look at this.
Am I too close to that?
No. There's about 3 feet there.
Is there?
Yeah, I think you're all right now. But imagine living in one of these little places. You'd be right out of the way.
Just check. You only have to check what's in their windows to know what they're all about.
It's a real ye olde village, isn't it? It's like, we were talking last night when we was driving up here about the legend of Brigadoon. And Brigadoon is this Scottish legend about a lost village, and there's a story about a man who comes across this village just no one has been in for hundreds of years, and it's taken off the maps and everything. And I can't remember exactly how it goes, but we said that this place is Throwley in Devon is actually very like Brigadoon. And it's like so we're now heading, we're basically retracing our steps from last night, and it's just like amazing. It's sweet and cute now, but it's, you know, seeing that weird thing in the window, that freaked me out a bit. This big red creature with horns. Now, what red creature with horns do you know of? Definitely, exactly. Okay, we've just left Summer Isle, and we're heading down a road we haven't been down before to see if we can find something different. But there was like a Land Rover behind us, and we were just thinking, we're getting paranoid. I can't help getting paranoid, that's the problem. I love these tunnel of tree type effects. There's a place when I was a kid in Wales, and it was called the Tunnel of Trees. It's a big long straight road, and with the trees growing over like this. When I was a kid, I remember. And it's like really beautiful. Really is lovely. The air's fresh, and there are beetles all over the place, even end up in coffee. That was a bit like sort of like one of these horror movie tropes, isn't it? Where something like that happens as a kind of to set an atmosphere of menace. But I tell you what, in the last quarter of an hour, I've got an idea for a new story. After I finished writing the one I've done now, the Roswell trilogy, I'm thinking of writing a new story, and it all came to me while I was in Throwley. How about that? Okay, we found what I think is possibly the ideal skywatching location tonight. We're inside the Dartmoor moorland, just slightly inside the moorland, where it's 40 miles per hour speed limit, and there's sheep wandering around, and we've got a dry stone wall, and we can see basically 360 almost. And if this videotape is ever found, please tell my family we love them, etc., etc. Right, this is called Spinster's Rock. It's this dolmen here in the middle of a field in Dartmoor, and it's like it was originally covered with earth. It was a burial mound. There were some bodies buried in it, and the earth has worn away over the years, and all that's left are these rocks, these 4 rocks, 3 supporting rocks and a roof, classic dolmen shape. And it's like there's only like a narrow point of contact between each rock and the roof. It's not like it's been designed. It's really, really delicate, and this is completely solid. I feel a bit nervous going underneath it, but it's been up for a long time. I mean, this was built in between 3,500 and 2,500 BC. About as old as Avebury. I'm sure Maria Wheatley will have a lot of information about this. And it's like really very incredible. Legend has it that this was erected by 3 spinsters. So it's amazing what women can achieve when they don't have husbands to take care of them, or husbands to tie them down. I'm sure the feminists love this. It fell down in 1862 apparently, it doesn't say how, but they was re-erected. I'm kind of like, it does make me feel thinking, oh my goodness, I go underneath this and it feels, I can almost feel the weight of this thing pushing down on me. But if it's been up for that long, only fell down once, I'd have to be pretty unlucky for it to fall down now, wouldn't I? What, over 5,000 years? Or maybe, yeah. This is the kind of rock, I know what kind of rock this is. It's got lichen and moss on it. Very old. Yeah. We are entering Castle Drogo. Castle Drogo, I mean, it's a name that means, I think it's in one of the Romance languages, either Spanish or Portuguese or something. Drogo means dragon. So we're entering the Castle of the Dragon. Now, according to Joanne Richards, this is a place where the raptors are come, and speed limit 20. All right, speed limit. Where the raptors from the aliens' worlds are brought here to play around, and they turn up in their dinner jackets in limousines. I think that's how she describes them. And then they run around, and then after they've had their big dinner, the raptors with the humans, then the humans have their dinner, the raptors are put in a sheep field, they put sheep in a field, and the raptors hunt them and kill them. I don't remember exactly, because I haven't followed Joanne's work for a while, but this is the place supposedly where the raptors appear. Her website, Earth Defence Headquarters, is worth a look at. Private property there, you see, that's the Mandalay group, that's where they equivalent in Bohemian Grove, where they meet. Nice view. But we're entering the Castle of the Dragon. Dracula comes from the word dragon too, and so one thing the reptilians are said to do is drink blood. Well, what does Dracula do? He's a vampire. See what I mean? Visitors car park. Okay, we're nearly there now. There's lots of stone monoliths around, lots of no entry signs and private property signs. Welcome to Castle Drogo. Don't expect to leave. Well, we come down this little footpath here from the car park at Castle Drogo, and we're just going to have a walk, see how far we can go. We're going down this very steep side of this gorge. There's like steps cut into the side of the hill. And we'll see how far we can get. Luckily, we don't have to pay extra for this. It's very expensive to go into Castle Drogo. And the castle's covered by like a massive scaffolding enclosure at the moment. And I don't particularly want to see it. You know, it's £12.50 for the 2 of us. I decided that... Each? Is it £12.50 each? Wow. Excrement. Holy excrement. Yeah, £12.50 each. I mean, for that price, I would expect a live 1 hour interview with a raptor. Definitely. Oh, there's a little sweet doggy. Hello. Hello. I was taking a little doggy down here. Hello. Hello.
Oh, very tinkle.
Yeah.
Very delicate.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, I know, like here.
There's a fantastic view, a lovely view. Yeah, you can see for
Lovely
miles.
markings. Look at you. You're a work of art. Beautiful. Oh,
I see summer ferns.
Look at the hop. She's got a hop. Like the...
Oh, downstairs she often hops on her back foot.
Yeah,
Yeah, wow, this is beautiful. This is the gorge.
at Castle Drogo, and I tell you what, I've got some deja vu.
Oi.
I've been here before.
Uh-oh.
I've been here before. But I haven't. This is what Anthony Peake talks about with a deja vu. But wow, what a sight! And the weather's lovely, and it's forested, a beautiful forested pathway, and crash UFO. Where? Are you taking a mickey? I can't see it. Oh yeah, we have a crash UFO. She's taking a mickey. Yes, we have a crash UFO over there. That's right. And we've come a little way along the path along the side of the gorge, and there is Castle Drogo. And I mean, I don't know about you, but it's got its most evil aura imaginable. It looks like a cross between some kind of crematorium and a secret government laboratory for human experimentation disguised as a mental hospital. And as you see this big archway with the cross. Ooh, yes. It is, you can well imagine some Frankenstein monster being engendered there, and that's the big scaffolding thing where they're rebuilding it. And so I'm going to carry on along here. Don't want to linger too long in this area. Yes, I could definitely imagine men with white coats and bald heads wandering around there with blood-stained aprons and giant syringes full of God knows what. Looks horrible. And the name, just the name, is enough. Castle Drogo. To chill your blood before they suck it out of you. Look, we have, and Diana just pointed something out to me. There are inverted crucifixes on the tops of these buildings. Now, they're supposedly arrow slits, but I mean, in the 21st century, exactly how many people with bows and arrows are going to be attacking this building? They look like inverted crucifixes. I mean, there's a real crucifix on top of that strange arch, which of course is a sexual symbol. And then is there a big?
The bad ones have to look down on the good ones.
Yeah, exactly. They have to. We'll look to see if there's any sort of like pinnacle, or see if there's any sort of like large phallic-shaped building near that arch, because that's where you get there. But it's basically it's a section.
This is a meeting place for the elite to get their way back on, or get back their foothold on the world again.
Yes.
Underground bases under the water.
Yeah, I reckon so.
It's a mask.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Whether you believe Joanne Richards about the raptors and these toons and the giant slugs and things coming down here from other planets to eat us, there is something creepy and weird and very sinister about this building. This magnificent view here is at Cranbrook Castle, which is a Iron Age hill fort, and you can see here these berms of earth run around the outside of the castle. It's vaguely oval shaped. And what you had here was like this berm enclosed an entire community, this mound of earth in an oval shape, and it was at the top of this there'd be a palisade, a wooden fence, a fortified fence to prevent attacks. And everyone would live within this community, even farm animals would be kept within this community. And Cranbrook Castle, on top of a hill fort, on top of a hill you could see people coming from a mile away, or miles. You can see here that it would be impossible to approach this fortification without being detected if you wanted to attack it. This, I don't know what age this was built, probably in the first millennium, sometime in the first millennium BC, before the Roman conquest. And unfortunately, the greatest defences of the Iron Age Celts, the pre-Illuminati people of Britain, were not enough to prevent them being destroyed by Roman steel and blades and military organisation. This, what we're looking at here, represents the end of the pre-Illuminati era in Britain. It's one of the last artefacts ever made on these islands by pre-Illuminati culture.
one cannot stand here and not sense that the feeling of everything was lost, and how different it might have been if things had gone different. In AD 60, Queen Boudica attempted a revolt against Roman rule, a revolt which meant so much more than even she was aware of, and even many of the people fighting on the other side were aware of. It represented not just simply the freeing of Britain from Roman occupation, but the freeing of Britain and the future world from Illuminati occupation. I stand here today with a sense of the weight of history pressing down on me. I'm carrying 2,000 years on my shoulder right now, and it's really weighing me down. Is it possible for us to dig ourselves out of this cesspit when Boudica and her army failed, after 2,000 more years as the Illuminati has solidified its rule over the world? I don't know. But the story of Boudica, the incredible struggle of heroism and adventure and defiance beyond belief, is all the more poignant today. As we stand here on this fortification, this ancient fortification, and realise that all around us, the early 21st century is roaring and curdling towards the oblivion of the universe. Yet the ghosts of the past call out to us. They call out to us in warning and distress of what they have lost and what we have lost. Can we regain it? Can we possibly, is there any way we can possibly climb out of a cesspit that's so big? The US President Donald Trump talks about draining a swamp, but the swamp is beyond and beneath anything that he could possibly have imagined in his worst nightmares. If we can achieve this, if we can do this, it'll be the greatest thing that man has ever done. Inventing fire, just inventing the wheel, that's nothing. Nothing compared to this. It's all that matters to me now. I'm living for that now. And if we can't do it, then that's what will be the cause of my death. Of that I now have no doubt. Right, we've just left the hotel. It's actually just 9:30 in the evening. We're heading for our skywatching place for this evening. We're going to start out on the moor by the reservoir, and I don't know if you can see me there. We had a helicopter buzz us. Well, not buzz us. No, that's an exaggeration, isn't it? Yes. It actually wasn't buzzing us. It was hovering over the way we were going, quite a while, about a mile away probably. Couldn't see much about the helicopter, what type it was, whether it was military, police, air ambulance, etc. We just saw it and its navigation lights. It's gone from sight now. I think it may have landed. Now, of course, one helicopter doesn't mean aerial surveillance, okay? But this is one of the things we're going to be on our alert for this unusual aircraft activity, because this is a sign of a major UFO event to come. We've seen this at Penturk very recently in 2016, but also we saw this at the Bedouin Mountains incident and at the Mansfield event in 1987, where it's as if the government know a major UFO event is about to happen, and they know roughly where. They don't know exactly where, but they have a general idea about thereabouts. This is why these aircraft are usually reconnaissance aircraft. We don't know how they know that, but they do. And so we're going to be on our eyes for that. We're also going to be keeping an eye on anyone possibly trying to monitor us. Or what's that? Is it there? I can't see it. Oh, bloody hell. Diana's got much sharper eyes than I have for long distance vision. I can't see a bloody thing. Sorry, can't see it.
I'm not now. But you know it's definitely hovering.
Okay. So we're just gonna keep an eye on things like that, and also whether something might be following us, like in terms on the ground. We're going to be keeping an eye at the sky on whether there are people, like in cars, for example, chasing us or going after us. That's something we're going to be on our lookout for, because sometimes skywatchers are harassed. We wouldn't be the first skywatchers to be harassed if that is what's going to happen. Okay, we're now heading towards the vantage point we've chosen, not far from Fenworthy Reservoir. We've gone through the town of Chagford. Now this is really weird, because Chagford is actually, it's Chagford, not Shagford. Grow up. But what's weird about it is it's quite a large town, a surprisingly large town, much larger than any of the little villages we've been through, but it has no access to the outside world except from these little single track roads. And I'm curious now, I want to know why that is, because it doesn't make sense. But anyway, it's getting darker now. I think it's sunset, so we should arrive at our vantage point in good time. Right, Panmo TV viewers, this is Skywatch number 4, the final one of our expedition. Take that any way you want as it turns to final. I just hope that this, what you're seeing now, won't turn into some kind of eventual found footage, real life horror movie. We're at the point I showed you earlier, at the top of the pass through the moors, just beside Fenworthy Reservoir, and of course we get a great 360-degree view of the horizon, which is really brilliant. To our west is the moors, no artificial light at all, which makes it very easy. Anything there will stand out immediately. And to our east we see for miles and miles and miles right across Devon, and there's a lot of artificial light there, but it's quite distant, so this is the perfect place. The stars are out, the sun has set, and I'm just going to have a quick look around to see. There's some sort of like vantage points we can go on to here. For instance, we might be able to see the planet Venus. Just check that out in a minute. But it's behind those trees. The only thing we can't see, Diana, is we can't see the sunset because of those latter line of trees. Yeah, it has. We should be able to see Venus. I'm just going to go. My bloody bum's itching. Excuse me. I'm being. Pardon me. I'm going to. Let's quickly go down here. Just going to go down here a minute to see if I can see Venus. Yeah, it's beautiful up here actually. It's still. There's no sound of the sheep are over there. You can see them, but there are sheep. And when just on the edge of the moorland, just passed over into the 40-mile-per-hour zone. There's a light over there. I don't know what that is. Maybe a star rising. It's gone. It's gone now. I think it may be covered in cloud. Not to worry, it's covered in cloud. Gonna go back. Yeah, so let's wait and see what happens. But what we're going to do is we're going to give this about an hour, and if we don't get anything from here, we're going to move to another location. We've got a number of other locations lined up, so well, we'll see. Obviously, we'll hope for the best, fingers crossed, and all that sort of thing, and we'll get some really good footage. If not, I'll film what I can with my camera, but if not, I will film. I'll film reports for you at all times, and Diana has a really good camera with the zoom footage and zoom function and everything like that, so I'll get some pictures as well. I'm sure she'll let me insert them into the video. There's a star come out. I think that's the first star tonight. Yeah, there's a. That's actually at about. It's about 30 degrees to the sort of west, northwest area. Now I saw a red light on the landscape over that hill over there, and But it turned out it was a car, yeah. But also, it was at the parking space we were at on Friday, on the way on the Hairy Hands Road to Post Bridge, because there's this distinctive. I don't know if you noticed it when we were filming earlier. There's a distinctive tree line to the due west, and I remember seeing it from the Hairy Hands Road where we stopped. And so I think what I was looking at is actually that parking space we were at on Friday from a distance. We're now seeing the same. I'm seeing the same tree line from a different direction. There are a large number of what looks like electric lights. I'm not going to pay much attention to anything really below the horizon to the east, because there's so much electric lights there. So unless it's really there's a good reason to, I'm not really going to pay those much attention.
That car again.
There's a car over there. I think that's on the Hairy Hands Road.
Behind you, there's a flashing light on there.
There is, yeah, it's a red light. I saw that. There's a flashing red light. That could be, rear lights of a car flickering through undergrowth. But there wasn't much undergrowth there. It's just sort of like. Yeah. We saw like a little flashing red light. I think that is the Hairy Hands Road. But it's like a flickering light. Flickering red light. Saw it just very briefly. It's gone now. I'll keep looking for it. I'd have said it if Diana hadn't seen it as well. I'd wonder if it was my imagination. But anyway, see, there's another headlight. There's another car headlight there. Look out for the red light.
Oh, maybe it's back of a car.
Mm. There's another one. And there's I think those are car headlights over there. Okay, we have now a situation where there's an amber flashing light that keeps coming and going. It's gone now.
No, it's still there.
Is it still there? In the distance there. I've also heard there's a couple more car lights. I also heard a car, the revving of a car engine in the distance, slightly to the. Oh, there it is again. See it? You can hear it now, revving.
Watching the military thing.
It's out. It's not in the military area. Military area is to the west. This is basically that's on the Hairy Hands Road. There's an amber light. I hear car engines revving. I don't know if you can, and tyres screeching.
Yeah, there's kids or something. I don't know what's going on. But I don't really like it.
It's a long way. It's a long way from us. It's on a different road.
Well, it comes down here.
There's no access to. They can't get us here. Okay, we've moved now. We've moved about 3 miles from where we were originally. We've come off the moor and we're onto a lane, the lane leading to the reservoir. Behind us you can just see the lights of Chagford. There, a strange town, which is in the middle of nowhere, which is a big town in the middle of nowhere. And we're now looking to the west. There's the planet Venus up there and the sunset. What happened was the noise of the there was a loud noise of revving engines, screeching tyres. There was some weird. It looked like there was some boy racers or in the area. Yeah, so we thought we didn't feel safe there, and it spoiled the atmosphere as well, didn't it? So we decided to leave that area and move somewhere else, and so we've come down here. But this is an area we identified earlier during the day as an excellent viewing spot. It's very pretty, and there's very few electric lights, and you get a good view of the whole area. So we're gonna do a little sky watch here and see what happens. Okay, I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, it's gone now. See that star there? There was a big white light that appeared close to that star. Close to this star here. Large white static light, similar to the star that was moving. It just basically faded away, and now it's gone. Very strange. It could have been a satellite or something, I'm not sure, but didn't it lasted for a few minutes.
Going round more than going close.
Yeah, we've seen a number of white lights that look superficially like aircraft, but
kind of, they seem to be hanging around. It's like they're not moving very fast. Flashing lights.
You can hear it now. But it might not be to see that one, but before I could see the aircraft.
Yeah.
That was funny, that one, that was big. I think, as you say, I don't know if it's... I wouldn't have thought something as bright and big as that would cloud would cover it. But there is one there that stopped. It could have just stopped it. Maybe it is some kind of satellite. It's just moved along and stopped, but there it is.
Yeah.
It's there.
Yeah, it didn't look like a satellite to me, because like those normally just, they have like a bright light. They only last a few seconds normally as they catch the sunlight. I can't see it. I can't see it.
Okay, it's faint, but it's there.
Yeah.
It's static.
There's that there, which is a star. There's
See the trees sticking out, this main bit.
yeah.
Blue sticking out. Go to the point of it and then drop down by like a foot and then to the left. See that middle bit sticking out in this tree? This chunky middle bit.
Yeah.
Drop down a foot and then go to the left, it's there.
Like,
Try and see it with your eye first, it's getting
yeah.
brighter. You notice it.
Can't see anything at the moment. I'll keep watching that area though.
Need to lean on the car because we both need to lean on it because there it is. Ooh, is that a
I think
bat?
that's a bat, yeah.
There. Follow my sort of finger.
Yeah. I can't see anything there. I'm just getting binoculars. There's lots of stars out there now. There's lots of stars. I can't see that. I can't see that thing.
It's got a green light to it actually.
Oh.
Green and red.
We've been observing several things, a couple of flashing lights, also a bright green light that's appeared on the tree line to the east. This is it started off as a large square shape, a structured object, which we thought might be a window in someone's house, except there was another smaller green light beside it, and it was green, which is unusual for a light in an indoor light. The structured object has gone dark or disappeared, or the green structured object, and now there's still a small green light that's moving along the tree line. It's moved slightly along the tree line. It's quite distant, several miles probably. We're going to just watching to see what it does. Diana's got it in her binoculars right now. We're waiting to see if it does something very spectacular. And there are midges or biters or mosquitoes all over the place. I can feel them on my face. But it's quite warm. It's about probably 11:10 at night. The sun glow is almost gone. And we're now waiting to see what else turns up. I've just seen two lights go overhead across the zenith virtually. They've disappeared now, but they look like the satellites, but there were two of them and they were side by side. I don't know what they were. Could you have two satellites side by side? Possible.
Yeah.
Diana's still observing the green light on the horizon. Well, it's actually white, she thinks, not green. Yeah, there's a bright glow indicating the moon's coming up soon over there. I'll just show you. I don't know if you can see that, but you may not be able to see it, but there's a bright glow indicating moonrise is coming soon, which will change the sky and produce a lot more ambient light. Because we have a waning gibbous moon at the moment. Large amount of stars, almost no wind, which means there's very little cloud. There's cloud on the horizon, almost no more. The wind though is making it midges everywhere. because of the lack of wind. It's making it uncomfortable for us. But it's beautiful here. Absolutely beautiful. We've seen a couple of bats flying around the trees. Okay, it's about 11:30 now, I think, 11:45. And we're still at the same spot, south of Chagford. And I'm trying to zoom in on what is a very, very interesting row of lights. I don't think you can see it. I'll describe it to you. Small white lights in what looks like an arc, so it could be one side of a disc. And it doesn't look like window lights, it's on the ground. I think it's on the ground somewhere in one of the villages to the south of Chagford. What it is, I don't know, but it doesn't look like normal window lights. There's been several bright flaring lights appearing on the tree line above that. Again, they don't look to me like car headlights. It's difficult to know for sure, but these lights do not look like window lights, and I'm afraid I can't film them. You can't see them. But very strange indeed. Yeah, I just wish if they are what we hope they are, I wish they'd show themselves by rising up into the air or coming closer or something like that. I really wish they would. They're not doing that, leaving this uncertainty, which is annoying, it's frustrating, it's tantalising. And it's all part of this sky watching business, it seems to me. Okay, well, lots happened. In fact, it's right now, I've just seen what could be as I switched the camera on, I saw a white light cross the sky very quickly. Possibly a boloid meteor, or possibly something else. It's gone now. But the light, which I thought was green, on the tree line, the furthest tree line, it appears to be moving around. It lifted up into the sky slightly, and it shone a bright beam at us, in our general direction anyway, which was very, very bright indeed. And so that's very strange. The object, which could be a disc, is just sitting there. It's just still an arc of lights until it does anything more interesting. But it was very, very strange, very unnerving thing to have this beam of light shone at you. It's like it just it just flared up, which indicates a light beam being shone directly in our direction, completely in our direction. It was very strange. The sky is beautiful, very, very bright. The stars are all visible. I'm going to make the most of it because the moon will be up soon. When the moon goes up, it'll dim slightly when the moon comes up. I'm just going to have a coffee now because it's midnight, and very, very interesting here. It's very pleasant. Even the midges seem to have gone to bed. So, so we'll see what happens. Let you know. Okay, it's 25 to 1 in the morning. We've left our observation post. We're now going to head to the village of Teencombe, which is where we think the anomalous lights we saw were. We're hoping to confirm what they were, if they are still visible and still accessible to our observation when we reach the village. Okay, we're going to head back now. We couldn't get to Teencombe, we couldn't find the way, but we're going to go back to the location tomorrow in the daylight to see what it looks like before we head for home. It's been quite a night. It's 5 to 1 in the morning, and a very eventful final sky watch of this series of 4 that I've done with Diana Windsor. And I hope you've enjoyed them as much as we have. Okay, we're leaving North Loo now for the last time on this expedition, and I'm just going to show you the famous Hobbit house. That's how I call it. Now, I know hobbits live in holes in the ground with green doors and wood panelling and things like that. I know that, but I call it the Hobbit house. And the name seems to have stuck, but it's like it's a fairy tale house. Is that more accurate? Diana, sort of maybe a Hansel and Gretel house. That's made of cake. But you'll see what I mean when I see it. It's the most typically charming building in this area that I've seen, and it's just so cute and wonderful. It's like, where is it? What?
Black cat.
Oh, black cat went in front of us. So make a wish.
Make-A-Wish readers, listeners, if you're watchers, viewers, if you saw that. And there is that Hobbit house. Or the fairy tale house. And that, look at that well. Look at the well there. There's the garage with a thatched awning over the garage and the front doors. And oh my god, I bet these people are used to people slowing down to see the house. They really are. Isn't that lovely?
For my mum.
Yeah, oh, it's beautiful. Absolutely lovely. Right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the road to Chagford. And it's very, very strange. You know, seeing it in daylight it's even more remarkable. Because when you see the size of Chagford, and you realise it's a town of probably more than 10,000 people, I would say, it's odd that this is the principal access road to that town. And it doesn't make sense geographically. I mean, there was something could be said for this for High Wycombe as well. However, this is even more so. And I don't understand why that is, unless the people of Chagford don't travel as much as they should do. Very, very odd. I mean, you can actually see Chagford in the distance there. Because it's like it doesn't make sense. You don't normally get that unless Chagford is an unusual town. It's a special town, built for a special purpose or used for a special purpose, and the people there are part of that purpose. I'm speculating now. I know my conspiradar is going haywire, but it's just this road is too small, and apart from this road, there's just a few more small narrow lanes, and that's the only way you can get in and out of Chagford. So there can't be much traffic to and from Chagford. And when we get to Chagford, you'll see what I mean. You'll see about why it's so odd that such a large place would be so cut off. Not in terms of distance, but in terms of access highways. Very weird. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is Chagford. You see, it's got a 3-storey building there. Quite a large number of houses and stuff. Now, if you want to access this sizable town, it's pretty big. The only way you can do it is down these small country lanes we've just been saying. Now, we're trying to speculate about why that is, and obviously, like I said, this is a weird kind of situation. We've got a traffic jam now. I'll just getting through here. There's a big lorry trying to get in. It's probably the only thing that delivers here. But is it some kind of hideaway? I mean, is it a town of special purpose? It is like we were joking about the Midwich Cuckoos, you know, the village of the damned. Is it something like that? Are these people all hybrids or something? Are they all aliens? Have they all been, meddled with? Is this some huge human experiment going on here? There's things like that. Or is there some other reason for it? But there has to be some explanation why such a tiny little minuscule town. Oh, sorry, sorry, I'm not thinking about what I'm saying. Such a large town, a few thousand people, should only be accessible through minuscule little country lanes. Like no one comes in and no one goes out. Not sure. But we drove past this thing. We drove past this. Sorry, this traffic jam is really bad. I'll just carry on in a minute, actually, because this is getting a bit annoying with the traffic jam here. This is Chagford, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. Looks fairly normal. Looks fairly ordinary. It was the dust cart actually was causing all the traffic jam. So again, that's something very normal in a town. It appears to have a lot of normality about it. Estate agent, pub, you know, ring o' bells. So it looks, again, it's like there's a lot of normality here, but again, there's these anomalies here, and Diana and I were speculating about what was the cause. We thought it might be, we went past this, what looked like a storage area of lockups for elite. There was like what sort of car was it parked outside? A 4x4, like a very posh 4x4. So we were kind of like wondering, I thought I saw a sign there for team come. So we were wondering if there's that kind of thing. Maybe Chagford is a kind of elite hideout before they immanentised the eschaton, you know. And I was thinking of that film 2012. Now, it's a crappy film, it's an awful film, typical Roland Emmerich. But in the opening scenes, you see all the elite people disappearing and the rich people just vanishing, and their property being sold off, and they're like going on, you know, they seem to be going off the scene. It's sort of a bit like that Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand, without the different message, obviously. And it turns out the world's about to end, and they're all going into these arcs for when the Mayan calendar ends and the Earth ends, and it's a shitty film, but it's got that feeling. I mean, it's given us that feeling. And maybe Chagford is one of these places, which is why it's so cut off. Maybe this is why you have to go down these tiny little lanes like this to get anywhere near it. I mean, as I said, for a town of that size, it's anomalous. You'd have a larger access, you'd have better access, you'd have bigger roads. So, and now that's weird, as Ross Hemsworth would say. Okay, we're going to continue on our journey now after our little break. We're going to go to the locations we were looking at on last night's Skywatch.
See the dip it was in.
Yeah. Now this here is where we were. This is the location we were at last night.
You must know something.
There's Chagford over there, and that's where the moon was rising. And this is the landscape. That's the building that had all the lights. That house had lights in it. Okay. Now the strange light, the light that was shining at us, was coming somewhere from this top, from this upper tree line here. Now there's a house there. I don't think it was coming from there. That's too far along. It's coming from somewhere in those trees there. Was where that light was shining at us. And this is the most interesting part. This is the location where there was a row of lights which looked like an arc around the side of a saucer. I can't see anything there apart from...
Oh, there is a house down... There is a house...
what looks like some kind of concrete structure.
There is a house down there.
Yeah, it's like... I don't know what that is.
There is a house hidden behind the trees there. Actually, I can see... Well, I think it's a chimney.
I'll see what that is.
I think. But even so, those like...
Those windows. Well, those windows at the side of it. That's the most interesting part there.
No.
So there. There's another building there. No lights coming from there. Oh God, there's that fuzzy. There's a building over there, which is where that fuzzy blob was coming from. See a building there. That's house lights.
That guy must know all about it.
Yeah. It's a very strange sort of situation indeed.
Yeah.
Well, it's a beautiful location. I think we certainly chose a wonderful spot. Definitely. Okay, we've come up some hills to try and locate some of the places we were looking at from a distance at the observation post, and we think we might have found some. These buildings here might be part of what we were looking at, we're not sure. There's this pink building here in particular that looks very much like what we were seeking. But it's very, very difficult to tell. It's very difficult to tell. But there's a place called the Gidley Hotel, which I think is where a lot of it was, on the hillside we were looking at, and it is not open to the public. So, don't know where that is. You can't get in there to have a look around, unfortunately. But so inconclusive, unfortunately. Not sure what we're looking at, except there is a dead tree in a garden. Yeah. Well, I'm at Basingstoke railway station now, on the last stage of my journey home. And look what I have in front of me. A flying saucer. Can you believe it? Let's have a closer look at it. What is it? I think it's one of those charity... I don't know what this is. It's a weird thing. It has... Obviously, it's not really a UFO. Ooh, what's it say? By children
from Fairfield School. What's that like? You are an amazing friend. Oh, you always make me smile. Oh, that's nice. I am going to the skate park today. Are you? No, I'm not. What am I doing tonight for my sister's birthday on June 3rd? Oh, right. Well, a strange thing it's to have a UFO giving out what's they called? I don't. Sorry, no. Sorry. It's strange having a UFO giving out inspirational messages, isn't it? I've never seen anything like that before. Okay, so it's not going to take off. It's not going to fly away. And it's got two small UFOs attached to it. So, anyway, I'm at Basingstoke, which is kind of like a miniature New York. It's like trying to be New York City and not quite been able to. It's a little Hampshire town, has these big pretentious buildings, it always has. So, and it's at the malls in Basingstoke, and there's these. That's obviously a shopping centre, of course. Not a very original name for a shopping centre, really. Okay, so time to go home, I think. That was a long train. Oh, welcome to Basingstoke. This is the city of big buildings and UFOs outside shopping centres. But as you can see, the actual station itself is with the traditional type. It has the traditional awnings and the metalwork. Whether it is actually original or not, I mean, real original stations have the brickwork. Is actually, you can see it. Is actually, look, you can actually see it. The brickwork is actually stained. Do you notice the cement between the bricks is stained? Do you know why? That is the soot from the old steam locomotives. That's how you can tell a traditional station from the non-traditional variety. And Basingstoke is, despite its modern pretensions, is clearly a traditional, has a traditional railway station, despite something. So I'm now trying to think of a way to summarise the experience I've had over the last few days. Okay. It's a really quite interesting time I had. The first two nights were pretty unsuccessful. The last two nights, the third one was a bit ambiguous and not the best kind of environment. But the last one we had, Sunday night, the one just gone, was really quite interesting indeed. A large number of anomalous phenomena, unidentified phenomena I couldn't explain. This doesn't mean that they can't be explained in non-easy terms, or to quote Steve Mera, rational explanations. He knows I'm an incredible pedant with things like that. But it does mean I can't at this moment actually explain them in those terms. Now, strange lights on the tree lines that I was talking about, there were unusual square lights that don't appear to be lights from buildings. There was also a moment when we actually had a large beam shone in our direction, a large beam of light that appeared to be shone in our direction. It was very bright. Again, one could say that was a car headlight, but it was too bright, I think, to be that. Even a car on full beam at that distance, you coming over the brow of a hill, I don't think it would have quite matched that magnitude of light. So I'm looking for another explanation for that. Both myself and Diana are going to do an awful lot more research into what actually lies in that area in terms of the hotel that we talked about, that strange exclusive hotel and the other areas we try to film. There may be an answer there if we come up with some research into that area. Also, the unusual lights in the sky, the still lights, several bolide meteors I saw, which probably were just that. The several steady lights I saw going past that don't appear to be aircraft. It could be something up in space, a satellite of some kind, I'm not sure. But generally speaking, I found those intriguing, especially the two I saw going together, almost as if they were in formation. That I can't explain. Very, very interesting indeed. And a lack of aircraft noise with those, because you do get noise with aircraft, even though it's slightly delayed, so it appears to be coming from a part of the sky behind where you see the aircraft, because the speed of sound travels slower than the speed of light. That's why you get lightning before the thunder, etc., etc. All in all, it was very enjoyable. It was an enjoyable week I've had. For almost 5 days I've been away, not quite a week. It's been a very enjoyable week. We've been going travel to an awful lot of places. Diana's been very, very good, very, very accommodating. You know, driving all the way to Lynmouth and things like that. I think she enjoyed it too, though. We're now just wait and see what happens next. Wait until we hear anything else, and maybe we'll go on another Skywatch sometime. That'll be good. Incidentally, some of you asked me about Diana Windsor, about who she is. A lot of you have guessed correctly that Diana Windsor is not her real name. However, she does not wish to be identified. She wishes to keep her identity. She wishes, for the sake of privacy, to keep her identity that way. I've not filmed her. I've not used her real name, and I'm not going to reveal to you what her real name is for that reason. But in this day and age, I'd expect that from anyone, quite frankly. Okay, so just waiting for my train now to take me back to Oxford, and I'll get editing this film and hopefully have it up as soon as possible. And it's back to the real world, so-called. But been very interesting stuff. Thanks for watching, all of you, especially if you've made it this far, because I know this is going to be quite a long film. I hope you found it interesting, and I've endeavoured not to repeat myself or to ramble. I've endeavoured only to film the parts which are interesting. And so please tune in for the next Paranormal TV instalment. There'll probably be another comments reply video soon, because, well, I've got a lot of videos uploaded in the last. My upload rate's been quite fast for the last month. So with nothing else to add on that matter, all I can say is hospital porters, pride and dignity. Stop the New World Order.